Hey everyone, Old School Pokemon here, back again with the PokeFlipz podcast, joined by my usual co-host, KetchumAllCollectibles Dan. And today we've got a special guest joining us for the second time, I believe. We got Josh, the old card shop. How are you both doing today?
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for having me. Great to be back. I can't believe it's been now 2 times I've cycled through onto this podcast. This has got to be my favorite Pokemon podcast to watch. So it's kind of an honor. So I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
We're very glad to have you. And it was very nice seeing you this past weekend, which I'm sure that's going to be a lot of the topic for today. It's what I put in the title. I almost feel like we've had you on twice before, but maybe it's only once. I'm doing a quick search. 2 years ago, over 2 years ago.
You and I have done many different podcasts together, just on both mine and your channel, and so have Nick and I. So it feels like, but the three of us, though, maybe only 1 or 2 times if you don't include some of the other like conglomerate streams that we used to get into, which we don't do those anymore. I miss those, man. The old YouTube, you remember the old like crazy party YouTube days where all the Pokemon investor YouTube channels would all get on the same screen and start yelling at each other? Now we all kind of
round
are
tables
into our little boxes. We know what we do, and we know each other. But I miss those days. So I don't know, chat. What do you guys think of that? You miss those days? You like it what it is now?
I think both. I think those days I can look back on them with fondness, and I can like kind of miss those a little. But I enjoy what's going on now too. I know you're not a little bit pre-stream. We were talking about you're not super in the space lately. A lot of us miss cardboard hands. I mean, probably everyone who knows of it misses it. So, but it is what it is. I mean, people get busy with different things, and there are some podcasts though that have stuck it out. What are we now, Nick? 4.5 years strong, something like that.
No, is it? Yeah, I guess
yes.
It is.
I started my channel in March of 2021, and this episode 1 before it was named. That was it was just Pokemon podcast with Old School Pokemon, and yeah, crazy.
That's wild. I've been having to put up with you every 2 weeks for 4.5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy what content has evolved into now. I admittedly have been off of YouTube, as people probably know, for the last few months, and as many can tell and have seen in the chat that I've donned a bit of a different costume this time. I have become a huge One Piece fan over the last course of like 3 to 6 months when I've been catching up with the anime. And so even though I haven't been consuming a lot of the Pokemon content that I typically did, I've been a little MIA from that. I'm still very much so involved with Pokemon in the card space. I've been scaling up one of my boxes that I used to make. I've kind of perfected, and I've been doing a lot of market research and things on my mystery boxes that I used to do for just conventions, and now I'm kind of expanding to more than conventions, selling them online a little bit here and there. But big into One Piece lately. I've been on the whole like One Piece theory, catching up the anime. I'm on episode 960 something. So I went from zero, being a One Piece hater, saying that the game was going to die within a year and that I had no interest whatsoever in it. And now I'm like up with the manga, and I'm catching up on the anime. I'm the biggest One Piece fan you could ever imagine. So it's funny how things change, but that is a little bit of a difference since last time I had Cardboard Hands. Because on Cardboard Hands, I'd extensively spoken out against the One Piece card game in Bandai. And I had often said that if I ever caught up to it, because I just started the anime at that point, I said if I ever caught up to it, I would start doing One Piece as a little bit more of a business endeavor as well. And it looks like I might have to eat my words, because I did not think that would ever happen. And here we are. I'm almost done, and the game's going strong. So I just want to say, put it on record, I was wrong. I was dead wrong about One Piece. I've been wrong before, but that time I was big wrong, and I want to admit it on record and say sorry to anyone that I may have pissed off. But, I mean, it was good for the algorithm, so maybe I'm not so sorry about that, too. But, yeah, you'll see on the next Cardboard Hands, I probably will have a little something to say about maybe the Bandai card game at this point.
Nice. Yeah, I engage with One Piece a tiny bit in that, like, I get a small allocation from my distro. I put it into a different box. I slap a label on it to Probstein, and then I just sell it into the market. There was a short time early on where I kind of like, I'd set it back on a shelf and I'd let it age 6 weeks, 6 months. I mean, in this market, that's like a
6 weeks.
decade. That's like a century at this point in this market.
This market, yeah, that's a lot of time.
But these days, I'm just like OP12. I just got 16 boxes or something. My second wave, whatever it was, I don't even know. It's just straight to probe scene, making some amount of money. I don't even know how much, but I have no interest in engaging with. I've tried like Naruto. I tried Dragon Ball Z. The first handful of episodes. I don't think anime is my thing. And One Piece having 1,000 episodes, I'm just not even interested in starting on a journey that long.
You don't do anime too much either, do you, Nick? I feel like I haven't ever heard you talk as much about like the old anime or anime shows or anything.
I cannot get into any anime. I liked Pokemon back in the day, but I cannot get into it at all. I cannot. There's been a ton of people in the lives who have said I need to watch One Piece, but I am not about a.
Here's the thing: like you can't just jump in. Your chat telling you to jump in and watch One Piece isn't taking your like personality into account, because you can't. No one can just jump into anime if you're a Western, like a traditional Western cartoon or a Western movie goer, someone who likes Western type media. You can't just dive into like the most weed friendly anime you can find. You have to really go in slowly. Like you start with something like Cowboy Bebop, or you start with something like, in my opinion, Full Metal Alchemist, that is more geared towards the Western palette. And then you start like getting into the tropes. You start seeing the differences between the animation styles, the differences of the humor, the differences of the culture. And then you start getting a little bit more into it. But no one dives right into One Piece, in my opinion, into the 1,000 episodes, because it is a very like, I don't know, it's a very different style of anime. So I don't know, for anyone who's bored with the One Piece, I apologize. I'll stop with it now. It is one of the things that I consume the most, though. So get in my DMs if you're a One Piece lover and tell me I was wrong. And I'm curious to see what some of your hottest One Piece takes are when you do that with me. But yeah, it was really good seeing you guys at Card Party. Honestly, I kind of want to talk a little bit about that because I had such a good time there, and I didn't get to see everyone I wanted to as much because it was so busy, and I'm such like a hermit too. But I did want to talk a little bit about that. But did you guys have a good time? Like I saw you both, but only for short periods of time. What was the event like for you guys? Tell me a little bit about it, and then for anyone who didn't go, maybe explain what the event was or what sort of the overall was for them.
You gonna go ahead, Nick?
So this was my first card party. I had never been to one before. And I thought it was a really good time. I had a lot of fun. It was definitely different than
Winnie the Pooh is a very popular IP, though. It is a very it's up there with Pokemon. It makes a lot of money. Like I don't know whether it's the anime, the merch, what it is, but people love Winnie the Pooh. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's like a true half-true statement.
Hey, I am a diehard Tigger fan.
Oh yeah, Tigger's pretty cool. I'm more of a rabbit fan these days. I can really I never knew, and when I was little watching Winnie the Pooh, I always thought Rabbit was such a loser, curmudgeon. No one liked Rabbit. Now I really can relate to Rabbit a lot more.
But yeah, Card Party was a really good time. I enjoyed it. It is a lot different than Collecticon. There's the vendor area there is smaller. Definitely less people walking around there, which is good for buyers because you're able to kind of go up to every table and see everything. But for sellers, I don't know. We'll get your perspective on that. But yeah, for kids, families, stuff like that, there is a lot more to do at Card Party, which is cool. A lot more going on than just the typical buying and selling. For me personally, though, I think I do prefer Collecticons over card parties. It was cool. It was this one was really nice because it seemed like everyone went. So that made it a lot of fun being able to see everyone. But for the event itself, I think I prefer Collecticons over card parties.
And similar-ish. I'll echo some of what Nick said, but then also I'm gonna as far as vendor tables, were there significantly less than a Collecticon? I was shocked by how many there were. I don't know the number off the top of my head. 600, 700, I thought I heard someone say. Nice to see the pup. Mine's actually sleeping over here. I don't want to wake her up. She's down by my feet.
Oh,
but
you're
maybe no. Just she's a hound. She's a hound mix, but maybe she'll make an appearance later. I don't want to wake her up though.
Gotcha.
But
I thought you said you had a dachshund. I was like, what? Wiener dog?
No. She's a hound mix. But it felt like a Collecticon in a lot of ways. If you weren't seeking the other stuff wasn't like standing out. I remember my first impression, and mind you, I only went for one day. Thursday, Friday, I was there. I did the Seattle thing. I did other stuff, Washington, touristy. I'll make a video on it Monday, recapping the whole thing. But first walking in Saturday, if you weren't seeking out the other stuff, it just felt like a Collecticon with nearly as many vendors with way less buyers. So like I would highly caution anyone to like vending card party. You need to know that it's a different clientele. You need to have inventory optimized for that different clientele. And as far as like, I'm speaking mostly anecdotally, whatever, but I don't have the exact numbers to share with you. But how many consumers per vendor, like the ratio of consumers to vendors is way worse at card party. It's a lot smaller consumer base. The vendors aren't significantly smaller. So I heard of some people having a brutal day selling, absolutely brutal time. That said, some of the people that said that, I glanced, it's like, inventory maybe a little bit lacking. Good stuff priced well, still applies. I talked to some people that were absolutely crushing. Shout out Maria. Maria, if you're out there listening, I'm not going to share the numbers, but she shared some numbers with me, and like she had good stuff priced well, and it was moving. Some big buyouts from streamers, whatever. Some just like end consumers, parents buying stuff for their kids, whatever it may be. But I did engage a little bit. Saturday night, I went briefly to like the show that Pat put on, massive room up one level above the convention itself. And it was fun. I mean, it's definitely targeted more towards kids, whatever. If and when I go to a card party in the future with my kids, I'll try to engage with more. They had like walk around to these booths, talk to people, engage with them, and then you get like a trading card. I'll show all that stuff off Monday. But it didn't feel like, in my mind, hearing of, oh, it's so much better, there's so much more to do. It didn't feel as it felt like that stuff got like oversold. But maybe that's just me. But the Family Feud game they had going on, that was kind of fun. It was kind of funny. But I'm a Collecticon guy too, overall. I'm going to try to do 2, 3, 4 Collecticons in a year, maybe throw in a card party if it fits.
I guess I'm going to be the odd man out and say that I'm a very anti-Collecticon sort of convention goer. I feel like there's many, many better conventions besides Collecticon that you could go to, at least on the West Coast or where I'm from, that I know a lot of the rest of the country doesn't necessarily get. So Collecticon ends up eating up that space. But it feels very much so like they're the biggest name in the game, and they haven't changed anything about what they do in about 3 or 4 years of conventions. Whereas I've been going to many, many conventions lately that have changed a lot since their conception and have evolved with the market and sort of listened to what the vendors and their buyers and their consumers really want from a show, and they change. Like to this day, Collecticon still puts on huge annoying concerts, and you know, they set up the tables in these island situations where you literally get lost in these giant convention centers. Like, is it so hard to make things a little bit more organized in rows so that your customers can actually have a nice path through the maze that is Collecticon, and it doesn't feel as random as a vendor when your buyer comes up and finds your table like, oh, I found you. It feels much more like at other shows that I've done that are bigger and maybe a little bit different and more thoughtfully ran. They've seemed to evolve a little better. So I've actually been very, very not anti-Collecticon, but I'm not really interested in supporting Collecticon until I start seeing some changes. The only changes I've seen from them is that they keep adding more locations that I don't really care for. So I guess maybe I'm just a little upset that we only have one California or one West Coast location. So maybe that's why I'm anti-Collecticon. So Collecticon, if you guys are listening, the brothers, I know we've spoke many times in the past. You guys are fantastic, really nice people. Do better with Collecticon. I feel like you can do better, and I'll start going a little more, and I'll probably talk a little better about it. But as far as Card Party, I actually thought it was a really nice vibe. I totally agree with everything you said, Dan. And that being said, as like from the vending perspective, if you were like one of the late adopters and you got a table and you were put in the second room, that a lot of people, because what happened at Card Party was, well, I think it was about the same amount of vendors as a Collecticon, and I bet you the attendees were similar to a Collecticon. The fact that it was spread out in multiple locations and in multiple like levels, multiple rooms, and it was just a non-stop like event, like meetups, meet and greets, constant like shows, constant YouTube opportunities to go meet your favorite creator, all that stuff happening. It really felt like it spread the customers out more, so they weren't all in your, in front of your table stacked up like a sardine. I will say that my quality of customer, now take this with a grain of salt. I got tickets over a year ago for my table. So I was put right up front. I paid up right to be up front basically because I got tickets so far in advance. So I was in a situation where I feel like a lot of people who are in the back are going to hear this and think, oh, well, he thinks this because he was in the front. But I was in a good situation. I came to the event with optimized inventory that I knew would sell at Card Party based on what I'd seen from previous card parties. I was in a good location and I was ready for the different vibes too. So if you were a vendor that kind of went to this show, or a person who went to this show and expected to be like your average local card show you went to on a Saturday, that you're just going to walk in, go through the one floor of collectibles, buy what you want to buy, and then leave at 6 o'clock and kind of go home, have dinner. It wasn't that kind of event. So I do think that it was just different. I am going to the next one in San Diego. I know a lot of vendors that were in the back room, like we talked about, did get burned and said they weren't going back. I personally think that there's a lot of growing pains that Pat is going to feel from these different convention centers that he goes to every time he moves to a new state, because, the one benefit to Collecticon is they go to the same locations time after time. They can learn from the past and kind of do a little better the next time, or allegedly that's what they're supposed to do. I haven't seen them do that much, but I think Pat could do that, and I think they will. And I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, that the next events will get better, because I really like that it's a different style event. I like that it's something that's focusing a little bit more on like the content, the creation of like memories and just opening packs. It's just more of a degenerate type event. So like if you're like me, you sell mystery packs, booster packs, singles, you got binders, all that kind of stuff moved like really quick. But at the same time, if you were in the back and you were trying to sell things, I'm people in the chat are going to be mad at this, but I sold packs for $12 each for Mega Evolutions in the front of sold out. I sold like 2 to 3 booster boxes probably by the end of the event, and I went to the back and I saw literal vendors selling for $8 a pack, that I went back and restocked from the vendors in the back to come up to the front. And that sounds really bad.
Up 50%. That's hilarious.
And it was their marked price. They would have like an 8 on their Mega Evolutions in the pack dispenser, and I'd be like, I would try sometimes to get it for $7.50, but they'd say hell no. So I just bought straight up for $8 and sold for $12 in the front. That is one of the reasons why people don't realize that the placement in a convention is so important. It is one of the most like under talked about. And so I'm a vendor. People know this about me. I'm gonna get on my soapbox about vending and selling cards in person. But honestly, where you're located in the convention is so important in the bigger conventions that you really want to pay up anytime you can, a little extra, or go earlier so that you can get those better spots. If you're in your local show though and you're selling cards where everyone can walk around the whole show in like less than an hour, it doesn't matter where you're at. You could be in the back corner and you'll still find. But the reality is, when people walk in the door, they have money in their pockets. And when they're given the opportunity with 300 plus vendors who all have everything that they want in their case in front of them, it's really easy to assume that they're going to spend their money early, and then once they're out of the money, their budget that they decided they're going to spend, they're not going to magically come up with more. So if you have what they want and you're in the back of the show, even if you priced it as good as it is, even if you have the best stuff you've ever had and it's priced as best as you can possibly have it, someone's still not going to buy that thing. It could be Mega Evolutions booster boxes for $250. People aren't going to buy it, but they're going to spend $320, $330 right at the front of the show. And that's just impulsivity. And that's, whether I'm a scumbag for taking advantage of that or not, but that's a whole nother story. And I believe there's an argument either way to be made. But someone's going to make that money. And I feel like the customers that I sold $12 packs to were just as happy buying those packs as they were opening them as they would have been buying for $8 or $10. It was just a matter of what was presented to them first.
Mhm.
That is something.
I think it depends a lot on what you're selling. Like, I think the buyer of a booster pack at Card Party is just a lot less savvy buyer, a lot more like, I have money that I don't want anymore. I just want it gone. Buy the mystery pack. So I think that kind of buyer. But like, there's people saying in chat, like Ern was cooking out back. I was out back at one point Saturday afternoon, and it's like I had just come from the front. I kind of did like a down and back multiple times throughout the day. There were as many people at some of those tables in the back. I talked with some vendors in the back, good stuff priced well, that did really well. I talked to vendors that were like in your vicinity that were saying how they didn't do very well. So they had good location. They just didn't have great inventory, didn't have it great price, very great. I don't think $12 Mega Evolution packs really fits like the priced well side.
That's what I'm saying.
Stuff.
Like, it's not like literally stuff priced well.
It's literally the newest set. It costs less than a $20 bill. It's like, yeah, oh yeah, my kid wants. I don't know what this is. You're taking advantage of all the the not very savvy parents and stuff. Which, I mean, price, adult, all that, yada yada. I'm not saying that like in a negative way.
Oh no, not at all. Yeah, it's just one of those things that you're right. It depends on who you were and what the expectations were. I feel like a lot of the time people heard Card Party and they know how exciting people are, or how much excitement there is for the event. And they see how expensive it is to go to the event ticket wise. And they assume it's automatically going to be a gangbusters good show. And they're going to have their most sales they've ever had. They can do the normal thing they always do. And it's going to work like it always does. But honestly, you go to local shows, even like I go to local mall shows sometimes. It's like it's set up in a local strip mall and you put a table out. It's really small. Table's like $50, so it costs almost nothing to set up. And it's a different clientele. I don't bring my like first edition fossil box and put that up at the mall show. I don't put like, high-end slabs, like $200, $300+ slabs in my case. I look at my customers, the people who are going to be walking by, it's parents, it's Joe Schmoes who don't know they're going to purchase Pokemon, but they see it, it's an impulse buy. And they're more willing to spend $20 to $40 than they are to spend $300 to $3,000. So I change my inventory, I adjust, and I'm able to kind of be a little more lean and nimble that way. So a lot of times, though, a lot of the inventory that people roll with, it's just the same thing. They got their Pelican case of slabs. They're all over $1,000 because it's all their Grail PC pieces. They're all priced about 10 to 20% over market because everything keeps going up and they don't want to be under it or behind the ball when they sell it and sell it for under market. So they price it over market. So people in this market look at those slabs. They see it's already expensive. They see it's a little bit more than what they want to pay anyway. And they just literally pass by those cases and they don't even look at the other stuff that's in there. And so oftentimes I will look at a case, and I don't look at everything, admittedly, when I'm in the case looking at for what they have. I'll look at a select few things that I know prices of, and I'll see where that vendor is pricing according to that. Maybe if I see that some things are up and some things are down, I'll think, okay, I just have to check all the prices on this vendor, but I can get a good deal. But if I see everything is like marked way up, above market and all this stuff, I'm just going to walk on and not even ask about prices. I'm not going to play the, hey, will you match this last sold and try to get them to change the sticker price. One of my big pet peeves with this market and with selling in person is when other vendors come up to me and try to get my stuff for different than sticker price. Well, okay, not different than sticker. Well, they try to get it for basically the last sold auction and the lowest auction they can find in the last month or two, when there's clearly buy it nows that are higher or other auctions that are a little higher, but they'll grab the lowest one. Then they'll show me my price, which is obviously higher than what that auction is. And they'll say, hey, will you do this? But if you match this price at a percentage, and I say kick rocks every time. Because first of all, if you're going to not be okay with my sticker price, I'm certainly not going to do a percentage on anything. And second of all, just get out of here. Go source yourself. It's really hard. It's really hard to source these days. I'm not going to sell you my inventory at 80%, 85% when I can't even buy it at 90% or 95% in some cases. So yeah, I have some pet peeves with how the market interacts in these markets too. But it's overall, I think it was a good event. And I think there's a lot of noise from vendors who went when they they didn't know what they're getting into, because it was a lot of people's first card party, mine included, but I did know what I was getting into. So I think there's a little growing room, but personally, I think it was a great event. And I do want to push back a little bit on the like negativity that I've heard from the vendor side of it, because I've heard none of that from the buyer side. Like the buyers, it's all just from people like us who want to make the most money out of it and want to, you know, sell a bunch. I feel like from all the people who attended, it was a great event because things were spread out. You weren't like pushed as much. It's just, it's, I think, a better event for the buyer than it is for the seller. And those need to happen too. But it's great for the seller too. Don't get it twisted. I think their sellers did a great job there too. And
yeah, from the buyer side, it was really nice not having to, because like Collecticon, after the VIP hour, there's tables that you just have to skip because you can't see anything. So from the buyer perspective, it was a lot nicer being able to actually walk up to every table and see everything versus there being a massive crowd of people. So that part I do like. And then I do like how it's interesting that he added a third show this year or next year. But I like how hopefully it won't become a Collecticon type of thing. Like I know Collecticon next year, they have 24 shows happening. Literally 2 a month. That's
there we go.
Absolutely.
One of them better be in California. I swear, if they can't get one in Northern California, you're gonna hear me just crash out like never before.
Here's a good question from Mason for Josh, and I'll add one of my own. If you don't hang out after the show hours, did you even go to the con? You mentioned though that you like card party significantly better than Collecticon. You mentioned that you liked some local, like maybe Front Row Card Show, whatever else it is. But like, what is it that Collecticon could do to improve, in your opinion? What do you think Card Party did better? What do you think Front Row or the other ones are doing better? So a lot of questions all at once.
Yeah, I think I touched a little bit on it. I just really don't like the setup that they do with the tables of Collecticon. I would much prefer rows instead of islands, just because I feel like, and it's a really nitpicky thing. People want to hear this, be like, that's all? That's really what he cares about? But like the way that your customer traverses through your convention, you can control the flow of it, or you can just set it in an all like free for all. And it feels very much so like Collecticon, the way the vendor tables are set out, the way that they hand things out. It's just all kind of a free for all. I prefer a much more controlled security setting where the showrunners are much more like micromanaging. I know that some people are going to feel the opposite. They're going to feel like they want a more laissez-faire, do what you want, let the vendors control, you know, and sort of just hand out passes and let them do their thing. But I much like it better when the vendors are far more controlling about everything, because I feel like it's generally overall safer for all the attendees. It's safer for the vendors, and it runs to a smoother run event. I can't stand the music element of Collecticon. So if they were to remove the music element of Collecticon, that would almost negate almost any bad thing that I could say about it, to the point where
I agree on that.
It would become just like anything else. It's like, how much money are they spending getting these like artists of yesteryear that nobody cares about come to their event? And I don't know, maybe these guys are doing it for free, and that's why, you know, they're like, hey, I love Pokemon, I'll come to your event and I'll perform for $50 and a free pass. Let's do it. And if Waka Flocka is going to be there performing for $50 and a free pass to Collecticon, fine. But I don't want these guys to be spending the convention money, buying this thing, and spending all the money on the sound system and all this crazy stuff that I'm sure isn't free, that could easily be going either to making the tables a little cheaper, making the cost for attendance a little cheaper so that more people come. That would be nice. But any of that would be good to get rid of. But it feels like people have been saying that for years. Like us YouTubers have been saying that. The attendees have been saying that for 3 or 4 years now. And what have they done? They've literally done nothing but add more shows using the same formula. So I don't know. I do feel like it's definitely one of those things that it's grown much bigger than it is. And maybe I just haven't seen it in the last year. And some of my gripes have been like figured out. But as far as I can tell, it's the same show. It always has been. But yeah, I do think that they could spend a little bit of that money they spent on the venue for like the sound system and the music that nobody cares about. And you know what? Here's a hot take. I think Jason Page should be there every time singing the theme. But that's the only thing I want to see is that one theme song. I want him cut off immediately. I don't want a second after the theme song. He's going to try to do he's going to say Pepto-Bismol. He's going to sing his other things right after. He's going to say some off-the-wall shit. But if you cut the mic right after it's over, it'll be great. It'll be great. I promise. And people will love it. And that's the only music we need is that theme song. Because I still think people love hearing that theme song sung by him in person. And I think he is a boon to have at these conventions when it comes to that. But like, we don't need a whole panel of everything else that goes on.
I'm sure they're probably fairly savvy. They're probably running the numbers. I've spoke with the brothers. It's been a while. It's been probably a couple years since I spoke with them, but I think they know what they're doing. They must have data of some kind that shows them like how many people are going through each signer's line. Because to my opinion, like very, very selfish here. Take away the concerts, take away the signers. I don't engage with that stuff. So give me more vendors, make it 100%. I want to buy, sell, all that stuff. And then going back to Mason's question, my biggest thing, card party, Collecticon, they all have it late night at the bar. Like to me, that's what the real event is. That's what going and meeting people. But they must be running the numbers. The numbers must pencil. The numbers must make sense because they're expanding the 24. They're keeping the concerts tied to it. They're keeping all the signing, all that stuff. Rumor has it Jason Page's dance dad. But yeah, I ultimately, especially like the whole 24, I saw DeGreen Shiz was like 24 Collecticons. I know Nick has shared a similar sentiment. That's way too many. A lot of us go to a lot of the events. 24 is way too many for almost anybody, maybe unless you're Bulbasaur or Jar Chomp or whoever. But we're like looking at it with a very selfish perspective of like, I want it to be a bigger event. When I go to a Collecticon, I want there to be 4 of them so that I see all my friends at all 4. If there's 24 of them, I might have a handful of them that like I only know 2 people instead of 27 people. Card party was crazy because like I knew so many people, got to meet a lot of new people too. But a lot of people get like very selfish towards like, I want it to be exactly what I need, catered toward me optimally. I want it to be like the Super Bowl of events. I want 2 card parties, 2 Collecticons, and I want everyone to go to all of them so I can see everyone. That's just not reality though. And I think a lot of people are very slanted towards like what we do. We fly across the country, go to all these events. I don't know the numbers, but talking with the brothers and then just running some logic, 90+% of people are like local to the event. They're like, I think people have in their mind that everyone else is doing what they're doing. It's not like 80% of people are flying around the country to go be a consumer at Dallas Card or at Dallas Collecticon or whatever. So I think having 24 events, spreading them all wide. Jason Page, you've seen him 20 times. The average person is seeing Jason Page for the first time since hearing that song back in 1999. So yeah, I think it's understandable that it's not perfectly optimized for us individually.
Yeah, and honestly, having more of them in different locations is fantastic. It's my qualms is when there's more of them in the same locations that already have a million shows, or they're skipping other locations like other parts of the market, like the West Coast, that severely would love another Collecticon. So yeah, I think that eventually they'll figure it out, and just like anything else, it's you either like it or you don't, and there's plenty of options to go support it. But that being said, they were one of the first like big Pokemon Collecticons, and so they have that going for them. And so it would be a shame to see them like not continue to get better. And it feels like they're just expanding rather than improving. And so maybe I'll change my tone when they do come out and they come to California, and I'll feel differently about it. But I hardly leave the West Coast anymore because, like you said, traveling is just so expensive these days. And if you're vending a show and you're selling stuff like I sell that's like between $100 and $300 basically, you have to sell a lot of those things to make up that extra $1,000+ of travel costs that ends up costing you when you go across the country. So a lot of people who watch this content, watch the vendor content and stuff, probably have this glaze that they want to do that as well. And I always tell people that feel that way, you should do that, but you should start locally, really small, without having to buy a bunch of things, without having to go and fly to a Collecticon, or even just attend a few shows before you actually start to set up and sell. Nowadays, though, vending tables is so hard to do. I talked to a lot of vendors at Card Party. I talked to a lot of vendors at the last Front Row Card Show. There's like wait lists for a lot of these shows, like hundreds of vendors long. So it's not like it used to be where you could kind of get in a month before the show and make your plans and set your inventory. I'm having to plan things out almost a year in advance for these bigger shows, and sometimes 6 months in advance for the like medium shows too. So something to consider in this market, that things are really hot right now. And that means that even for the vending side, everyone's also trying to sell. Like, you have no idea how many vendors that I see set up with these Costco boxes. They have their 2 Costco boxes, their 2 Pokemon Center ETBs that they got from the Pokemon Center. They have all their 3-pack blisters and single-pack blisters that they scalped from Target or bought from scalpers who bought from Target. And then they have their Labubus set up with their pack dispenser of just the most modern sets and maybe like 151. That's the standard vendor pack for almost every new vendor who comes into the hobby. And that's what you see at almost like 60% of tables now. And then the other 30 to 40%, it's going to be like super high-end stuff and like slabs. Clearly vendors who've been doing this for a while who just have high-end inventory. But it's just interesting to see the total difference that it was when I first started, because when we first started doing this whole, I'm sure Nick, it's funny, Nick, Old School Pokemon, you guys who watch this probably remember, he used to be a vendor. He used to actually only.
I used to be you, and you used to be me.
And then what happened? I quit Whatnot, and literally the month, I kid you not, I quit Whatnot and I left my 13,000 followers behind. Nick decided to stop doing Collecticons. He was the Collecticon guy. He went to every one. He got 10 tables. He was the hookup. And then he went online and did eBay Live, and now he's like, yeah, I don't do vending much more. And he turned into me, and I turned into him. So it's just so different, though, because back then it was all sports, and you were like 30% of the Pokemon tables, basically. It was like less than 50% of this con. Now you get the sports guys, they're whining like teenagers. Wah, there's too much Pokemon. Go to any mixed show on your local Facebook or Instagram who's advertising for the show that is in your area. Go to the comment section, and there's going to be 5 to 10 comments from sports guys complaining there's not enough sports at their local event. The last time they went to the show, it was all TCG and blah, blah, blah. And it's the funniest thing ever. So times change. They'll continue to change. Things won't always be as hot as they are now. This is not the new normal, whether people believe it or not. I know that there's a lot of talking points, and I probably will get into this during the podcast because I'm sure this is going to get some feathers ruffled, but this boom will end. This is not normal. We are at sort of, I don't want to say we're at the top, but we've been nearing the top for a long time, it's felt like. For God's sake, people are paying hundreds of dollars for graded guards. So, like, if that's not a sign, then I don't know what is. So people aren't going to like to hear this, because I know all you guys who are listening only want to hear that your hundreds of dollars of Pokemon cards you just spent that was worth dozens of dollars a few weeks ago is only going to be worth thousands of dollars in a few weeks from now. But it's not going to happen. Most of these people who are buying for retail or buying above retail are going to get freaking crushed. It's not the vendors. It's not the people selling it. It's not you and me who are making money on it. It's people who believe that they know something that other people don't, and they're throwing fancy cardboard. These are cards that people play with. I know that it's to imagine people actually play with these cards like as a game. It's really tough to wrap your little investor sneaker brains around, but it is impossible for these things to keep going up for all time. Now, it's hard to say that when the last year and a half, that's literally all that people have seen and had. I look like the biggest idiot in the world, and people are going to take this.
It hasn't been that long.
Investing, but that's not true either. I think you should be interacting with this market, but I'm just saying you're going to get crushed if you're interacting with it in a specific way. That's all. And so I'll stop my soapbox at this point, because I'm sure there's lots that is going to be said in the comments now. But what do you guys think? Do you think we're in this new normal? I already know what one of you thinks, but I want to hear.
I don't know.
Ponga says we're early.
I think it's finally a year this weekend. Is like when the boomish stuff started happening, because it was
Chicago,
just about a year, Chicago Collecticon in the fall.
Yep.
I don't see what's going to slow it down up until I think
Nobody does.
We're smooth sailing up until the 30th at least.
That's what everyone thinks, but
what's going to stop it?
Sanity. Somebody did ask it. I have a big backlog of questions. I will try to get to all of them as I always do. But Krabby's card says, "Do you think Pokemon could ever hit a breaking point with?" Oh no, that's not it. Somebody asked
about question because we used to argue about that. And you were over there, Mister. Oh, it's gonna happen.
No. Don't pivot into it. Don't pivot into it. Nick, wait. We'll get to it. Do you think, guys? Do you guys think we will get a calm period in the market for a few months, like Rudy thinks? So not because Rudy thinks this. I think it's coming at some point, and I'm not trying to be calling 30 of the last 3 crashes. I'm not doing that because like I'm actively buying, flipping, engaging, investing, speculating. I'm doing all those things, but simultaneously, it's blowing my mind how many times people are coming back on my shorts. It's mostly the shorts and the reels and the TikToks. I'm calling for Prismatic to like be available under MSRP at some point. You're a moron. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Said by somebody who's been here for 3 months, 6 months, whatever. Prismatic is older than their experience in the hobby is. And meanwhile, since I've been saying that, I was buying Prismatic for 11 a pack 6 months ago. I'm buying it for 6 a pack. I've bought 2,000 packs this week, between 6 and 650 a pack. And maybe the floor hits before MSRP. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but we'll see what happens. For people to say it's guaranteed, it can't, the 30th, it's that. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Attribute percentages, probabilistic thinking on everything. It's boring. It's on the fence. It's lame. But like that's truly what it is. It's all percentages. It's all odds. Nobody knows what's going to happen.
Did you see Rudy's? It was one of his recent videos where I think it was today or yesterday, where he was talking about that it's going to calm down. We're not going to see price increases for the rest of this year, all that stuff. I don't know what makes him say that going into Christmas time when people are. I think sales increase when people are wanting to buy more and more for presents and stuff like that. What?
But that's when volume dumps from Pokemon too. And will it be enough? I'm not saying this is guaranteed to happen, but like all of our YouTuber PokeTube speculation with all of our vast experience in the market. You know who I was talking to? On Thursday at a pre-card party, a little gathering. Nick, you might have talked to him some too. Rick Aarons, I was talking to, and people probably don't know who he is, but like if he used to be a director level president, something at Pokemon Company for over a decade, and talking with him, it's like, and that was one of the most interesting conversations I had all weekend at Card Party. But he's like, yeah, it's kind of crazy everything that it's doing. It's kind of crazy how overconfident people are. He's like, I kind of asked him. I asked him some of the stupid PokeTuber questions that I get. I'm like, what do you think about Mega Evolutions being $500 in December? He's like, it could be. What do you think about? It could be $100. Like he just has a brain. He's been there, done that. He's seen it all. He's literally like been the one pulling the marionette strings behind the scenes. He just knows that he doesn't know. He knows that no one can know. The uncertainty levels are very wide, but they're going to be dumping as much product as they can, as they have every year in the past, like around the season. Maybe they won't win. Maybe the scalpers, botters, investors, maybe all of them or us will win, and maybe the prices will go higher. But like no one truly knows, and we'll have to see what happens. Rudy could be right in that they could stay flat. Like how many billions of cards are going to be hitting in the next 2 months? No idea. But I'll be there. I'll be ready to engage either way. I'm going to be buying and selling either way. But just the levels of overconfidence are just so silly, so dumb. Remember, and people stop saying it now, but years ago, people would be like, summer slowdown. It happens 2 years in a row, and then it's like a thing that happens every time. If you were like acting on the thing that people guarantee, the summer slowdown's coming guaranteed, how'd that work out for you? Seasonality, sometimes the market goes up, sometimes it goes down. It's all over the place going into Christmas. I think a lot of people, it can't go down going into Christmas. except for the 5 times that it's gone down going into Christmas in the 11 years that I've been here. Like, what are we? You're just saying, like, people just say things, talking out their ass. This was my whole rant. I'm not going to turn the lights red, but my whole rant a couple weeks ago was like, talking out your ass is plus EV. Because if you're right, you can go back and you can say you were right. If you're wrong, you can just delete it, or you can just forget about it because the algorithm doesn't give a shit because it's 2 weeks later already. But Rudy doesn't know. Rick Aarons doesn't know. Your favorite PokeTuber doesn't know. We don't know. We're all just along for the ride. And yeah.
I would like to pose a potentiality people don't realize about the Pokemon market that could be more detrimental to things going down is exactly what we just talked about, is things going sideways. When things go sideways instead of down, it's actually worse for a lot of the Pokemon investors, because when things go down, people jump in and they buy the dip. When things go sideways, the people who are investing, they don't know what to do with it. And so what do? They usually dump it, and it creates this sort of feeling of like stagnation, where you want to put your money into something that's actually going to make you money, but this thing that you just recently thought was a sure thing is just stagnant. And so because you're such an inexperienced investor, you don't have a large capital, and you put everything into that flip that you were guaranteed to make money on, and it suddenly isn't making money. That sideways market is a lot more concerning to those Pokemon investors than a market that just goes down and then back up. Because with a market that goes down and then back up, you have the people who actually know what they're doing, or the people who have money who are going to come in and buy that dip. Even if it's going to dip more, they're going to cost average down. Whereas the investors who are used to everything going up, who are retail, buying out everything and maxing out the credit cards, whatever it is, using all their flips from the last flip into putting it into the next, those guys actually can't handle any level of stagnation, because it's basically like, what are we doing here? Like, I want to move on to the next sneaker, the next big thing. So I would actually think that it would be more dangerous if things were to go stagnant and just get quiet for a while. Then it would be if things were more volatile and they dropped off a cliff and then afterwards they went back up. Just because the type of investors in this market, and in my opinion, how paper hands they truly have. One of the big arguments that I always have with my old co-host, I mean, he's still my co-host of Cardboard Hands, and we haven't done one in a long time, but Nick and I get into this all the time about the institutionalized money that's come into the market. I don't want to put words into his mouth, but I feel like Nick thinks that the market's fundamentally changed now based on all the large companies and big institutionalized money that's like come into the space now that wasn't ever there before. But every big boom that happens, you get bigger names and bigger things kind of buying up the market of certain things and getting in and investing. But it doesn't mean they're necessarily going to stay. And so I'm still not quite on board with this whole like new normal is that GameStop and all these big corporations are just going to make bigger purchases of like all the junk slabs. So it's going to create a floor for every junk slab. So even if you have a junk slab that's worth $1, it's going to be worth $15 because GameStop's buying them all for X amount of price. I don't believe that that's going to happen in perpetuity. I think it's going to happen for a certain amount of time until it keeps making money. And when it stops making money, they'll pivot away from it. I think the same thing is true for any of these big companies. So just because a big company is getting in and spending a lot and putting institutionalized money in something, it doesn't mean that money is going to stay there or even is like going to end up in the hobby overall. It could just get extracted and put into something else. So I do think that what we're seeing is not normal. And I think that the new institutionalized money that's happening is something that's going to eventually kind of cool off as the market cools off. And it's just really worrisome to see like how confident some people are who don't have that institutionalized money to have that confidence from. They're just piggybacking off of people who do have that money, who if they lose it all, it's not a big deal. It's like, yeah, sure, if you lose 70 grand, no big deal if you're GameStop. If you watching lose 70 grand of your 401k that you invested in Pokemon because XYZ Pokemon tuber over the last 2 years has been telling you it's a sure thing, and you were hesitant before, but now it's 2 years later and you look like an idiot because you didn't listen to him then. So now you're ready to go all in. What happens when you go on and you lose that 70 grand that you couldn't lose that 70 grand of? And now you're in the hole and your wife is about to leave you. I mean, you laugh. That's a funny meme. But there have been stories on the internet where that has happened to people. You know what I mean? And people paint us as bears. But I think we really just care. We're empathetic about how people spend their hard-earned money. as someone who sells a literal product that is basically gambling to people, and I feel like I make a really good version of that product that I'm proud of, I think you get great value. It's still at the end of the day a gamble, and it's not a good purchase. It makes me uncomfortable seeing the amount of people who are just willing to throw $75 at this box, dude. I put 5 booster packs in here, a graded card, and a piece of freaking cardboard, a sealed promo, and people are buying me out of these things. I can't keep them on the stock. To me, that doesn't feel like great value, because like I'm the type that likes to buy the exact thing. But like the people in this market is just, they're so differently built. My average customer is built so differently than I am, that a lot of the people watching are, that like I've just had to wrap my head around that, and it gives me a lot of concern. Like I'm going to capitalize on it, absolutely, and I'm going to make a good product that I'm proud of. But like I think that people are a little irrational in this sort of this market. They're a little bit overconfident on what I would consider a trading card game that's existed for a long time. But there have been many times where you could play the game, and it wasn't like you had to go fight your local sneaker salesman to like get 1 booster pack of cards. Like literally my Target has a 2 limit. You could buy 2 items, and it's like 2 blister packs, 2 single packs. It doesn't matter. 2 of anything, but not everything. And so even with that, people are still lining up to get like the $5 of profit just because they're hungry for something. So something's got to give. Like literally something has got to give. And I know I sound like I'm crazy sitting here on the internet yelling about something's got to give when the market keeps going up and Phantasmal Flames is coming out. We got 30th anniversary coming up. But I want to remind people what happened with the 25th anniversary with Celebrations. Celebrations came out really hot up until release. And then on release, it was not hot at all. People were speculating that the run-up to Celebrations was going to be this crazy big boom. And it boomed, sure. But it was like $3 to $5 a pack for Celebrations for so long. And it sat stagnant. And there was plenty of it around. And people actually talked about how they didn't like the set. Dude, there was a time when that Umbreon was less than $20 raw. The Gold Star Umbreon. It was like one of the cheapest, and it was worth $40 in a PSA 10. It wasn't even worth buying to grade it. It was like you only graded the Charizard from that set. Now the Charizard hasn't even moved and everything else is up. So like literally even the dumbest thing you could have done in Pokemon was made you look like a genius. So why would you, who are the biggest brainiac mother that ever existed, why would you care what I said when you know better than anyone? You're going to be rich, right? You just buy all the Pokemon from the shelves and put it on your shelf in your closet, and you're going to be richer than Bill Gates in 10 years. Forget about your investments. No. This is a rocket ship, baby. We're not in investments. Investments are slow. You heard what 401k does. That's like a few percent. No, baby. We're in Pokemon. We need hundreds of percent now to feel something. I'm dead inside. I need to see hundreds and thousands of percent just to feel something. So, I mean, that's the sentiment that I'm hearing. What I just said is what I'm hearing from people when they tell me that, Josh, you're a bear. Pokemon only goes down. It only goes up. We're near the bottom now. It can just, vroom. I just hear womp, 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 womp. I'm really irresponsible with my money. Womp, 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 womp. This video is going to get ratioed like crazy, by the way.
Yeah, it's a wild time. But here's like I usually get called a bear because I say it's a wild time. I say that I think every set that hasn't been available under MSRP will become available at or under MSRP per pack. Like people are quoting things that I said 6 months ago about Prismatic and say like, Dan, look at ETBs. Dan, I'm talking about packs. Packs are what I deal in. And if ETBs matter to you, if 3-pin collections, if poster collections, whatever matters to you, like that's a different story. I always talk about same arena, different games, different rules. But Prismatic so far, it's like I had too many packs too early. I had 6, 7, 8,000 packs when they were 10, 12 bucks a pack. That's what I was paying. Market was 12, 13, 14. I had to feed the live stream. But you know what's happened? In the first 7 months of the year, we ripped 17, 18,000 packs. In the past 3 months, we've ripped like 2,000 packs total. So our Prismatic is slowing a bunch, ironically, as the price is going down. So we ripped 16, 17,000 packs when the prices were 12 to 14 bucks a piece. Now that on stream we're selling them for like 8, 9, whatever it may be, I'm buying them for 6. We're selling a couple hundred a month. They slowed down a lot. So given that they're dumping more, given that historically, like I think Sea and Sky collections 2.0 will happen, 3.0. I think 151 pallet dumps like Costco did a year and a half ago. I think that stuff's all coming for Prismatic, and it might go under MSRP. But I know that I could be wrong. People are guaranteeing that it won't go. I'm just saying that it could go down. I'm going to give you the other side. And the crazy thing is, like, I give this other side at least once a month, if not more than that. The other side is that I'm wrong. I'm open to being wrong. The people calling me bears are not open to being wrong. And we could have a future, the next 5 years, where right now we're printing 12 billion cards a year. That's not enough, clearly, in this moment that we're in. Maybe next year they print 15 billion, and the next year they print 20 billion. I promise you, if Pokemon sees the business case for it, they're being cautious, but if they see the business case for doubling their production, they will do it. Printing ink on cardboard is not difficult. It is not like we have tapped the world's resources of the raw materials to create the equipment, nor to create the end product. The only thing that's holding them back is knowing that it's a finer line than people realize. If they overproduce demand, not only have they overproduced demand, demand lowers. So now they vastly overproduce demand without printing an additional card. But again, I've got my rocket emojis. I'm doing bull case right now. 15 billion, 20 billion, 25 billion, 30. In 2030, they might be printing 50 billion cards a year. The same way that we look back on the Sun and Moon era when they printed 2 to 3 billion cards a year, we've 5x since then in print run. And Sun and Moon boxes are like scarce. They're limited relative to demand. They're thousands of dollars. Scarlet Violet boxes could all be thousands of dollars in 5 years. The same way Sun and Moon is today. Or that's more like 8, 10 years. XY Sun and Moon, depending on what area you're looking at. So I'm very on board with the upside also, but I'm just like, I think overall this space does not need more rocket emojis. It does not need more guaranteed. So I give the one that like I think the space needs more of, but both are in my brain. The calculus is there. Most people's calculus is like they've got the clapping monkey, clapping the symbols in their head, saying buy, line goes up, make money, get rich. That is the analysis. That is the experience of the average participant in this market. And like that symbol clapping monkey, buy, like, oh, that's their percentage chance, but like the downside is too. And I rarely say, I say this too, but like these boxes could be $50 in 5 years. Dustin Roberts could be $50 in 5 years. Do I think it will be? Hell no. But it could be. If people actually get to be that insane. And Pokemon is not going to do this. I can guarantee Pokemon won't print 80 billion cards next year. But if they wanted to, they probably feasibly could. They probably have the capital to buy the equipment, to buy the buildings, to hire the employees. They could probably pump out 80 billion Pokemon cards next year. But Pokemon is not insane, so they're not going to. But like some combination of the two things happening, way overshooting demand goes down because price goes down, and then demand goes down, price goes down. It's a vicious cycle. Things could get dark. That happened in 2003, 2004. Other things happen. I know rip and ship. I know social, blah, 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 blah. Pokemon could be printed to death. I don't think it will be, but it could be. There's my rant. Josh has had a lot of his, but Nick, now you go. Now you go, Nick. Josh and I both got our rant therapy. Get something off your chest, Nick.
No, I'm finally doing good. I'm finally doing good over here. I'm happy and content with the way things are. I don't have any rants.
Okay. No,
it's a screenshot.
if you're ready to move off of the this Krabby's card comment, we did have another Krabby's card comment that I accidentally showed first that Nick wanted to go on. Nick, maybe you've got a good rant here for how dumb I am and how wrong I've been.
Oh, you have been. When were we talking? We were talking. I forget when we were talking about this, but
years ago, this was something I was saying more and more. Which you do your part, and I'll do mine.
You were convinced we were going to get a junk slab era, and it still has not happened. It still is not a thing. Me, Walrus, Thrifty go to shows almost every weekend. A lot of local shows, and then like card party collectons type stuff every now and then. And I am always looking for cheap slabs. And maybe it's because I don't go to Mason store, but I never find cheap slabs. I'll find a handful. I'll find like 10, 20 that I can buy. But I want like the if you look at the sports tables at the local shows, they have the BCW boxes just filled with $5 slabs. And that is just not a thing whatsoever in Pokemon. And I don't think Yes. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
You should have heard me after I sold out of my 50 boxes of mystery slabs, going around to vendors, just begging for them to sell me their junk slabs for just a little bit under market. I can confirm that they are firm on their $20 to $40 prices on their $20 to $40 slabs. They're not selling them for less. And I guess they moved to people because they wouldn't sell them to me. So I can confirm that the junk slab market still doesn't exist, because I would be a buyer for a lot of those, because I need $20 to $40 slabs for these boxes that I make, and I need to get them at like 70% ideally, but nobody's selling it for that. And so until that day happens, you are quite right. I don't think that we're quite through it yet. And I hate to say it, but we're still in the thick of it right now.
It's coming in, and some people will say Dan's just calling for the crash every day until he's proven right. But this is a big difference. There are some people that say the crash is coming, the crash is coming. So they're sitting on their hands and they're waiting. Like Alex is in the chat. I don't know if he's still here or not, but he says like the MSRP gang, I'm just gonna wait crowd. I'm not that. I'm saying that I'm quite certain it's coming. But while the getting is good, I'm grading today more than I've ever graded. I am trying to help usher in the junk slab era in some respects. Like every week on Fanatics, I get an email says this slab didn't sell, this slab didn't sell, this slab didn't sell. Some of that's me, some of that's my consigners, but and that's CGC, that's not PSA. But yet, I 5, 10, 20 years, what are we grading right now? 12 million cards a year at PSA, 6, 7 million cards a year at CGC, I believe. Put another 100 million.
How many of those slabs that don't sell, though, are 9 and above versus 8, 5, 6s? Because, yes, we'll have a junk slab error of CGC 6.5s, but we're not going to have 9 and above. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking
some of the things
low grade failures.
Some of the things that we get away with still today, and we got away with a few years ago, and like I'm on it. I am arbitraging this opportunity. These random V cards, these random regular EXs, I'm grading just regular ARs. Like these things in 20 years, you think these things are just going to be worth $20? Any card? I don't see it. Maybe I'm entirely wrong. I'm open to being wrong. I'm not guaranteeing it. But I just think so many of these, they're junk slabs today. They just don't have a junk price. I think the price will reflect the contents in some point in the future. But I hope they don't. I hope this stuff is just always a free money glitch. Like institutional money is coming in that regard. Fanatics CGC partnership, PSA GameStop partnership, decades of that. And if it's a lot, this is what I get a lot too. Then if it happens 5, 10 years from now, it's like, who cares? I agree. Like iterate, arbitrage on it today while it's happening. But sports is a lot older. Sports is a lot older, 20, 30 years of history. Give us 20, 30 years of this, and there's just going to be so much darkness out there. One thing that might help us is that like they'll just clean themselves up. They'll just, hey, kid will move out of the house like our old binders. I think attrition will come back to the hobby, and it'll kind of like help equilibrate it a little bit, because this stuff will just end up in landfills. Sorry, Earth. This stuff will just end up your random CGC9. Like, I tune into the biggest whatnot channels. Tune into the biggest eBay Live. Not a huge thing on Fanatics. We've tried it and it doesn't work. Look at those slabs. Look at those slabs that people are endlessly paying $20 3-second sudden deaths. You think those things are going to like be worth something someday? I think it's just a matter of CGC hasn't scaled enough yet. But if and when that's the thing, just like with printing, if and when it keeps being profitable for the streamers and for like CGC is going to be grading 20 million cards a month at some point in the future if it stays this insane. I don't think it will stay this insane. I think things will have to cool at some point. Hopefully for our planet's sake.
Can I bring something up?
I think. Oh, sorry. I think the one big thing between Pokemon and sports, though, is that you don't have a Pokemon card or you don't have a Pokemon that nobody cares about. There's someone that cares about every single Pokemon. Whereas with sports, there's so many players that maybe were popular for a little while.
Nick, they all have
and nobody cares
families.
about them. What?
They all have families. Come on, people care about them. Their kids and their grandkids and their cousin and their neighbor.
Going to shows buying their cards. But that's why you have slabs in sports that aren't worth anything. Is because these players are washed up and nobody cares about them anymore. Whereas you don't have that with Pokemon. There's people that collect the most random Pokemon. I get the most random requests in the live streams for people looking for some stupid card or Pokemon that there's like 2 cards that exist, and it's wild how like different everyone is, and how people collect different stuff.
Cooley's got a good point here too.
There is a Pokemon for almost everyone. I met a Bruxish collector recently this weekend. Bruxish, one of my least favorite Pokemon that ever existed. And they showed me their binder of all the common, uncommon Bruxishes. And they pulled one out of my bulk binder that I had because I had a bunch of mid-era stuff. And they were the happiest I've ever seen someone to get a Bruxish. Or almost not even just a Bruxish, any Pokemon. They were surprised to find one. And they were collected for it. So I can confirm there's probably a Pokemon for everyone. But like, there's a sports person for everyone too, though, in that, because I'm sure there's not more than 5 Bruxish collectors. So there might not be more than 5 of your individual sports collectors either. But I actually had a really weird conversation that once we're finished with this, I'd kind of like to ask you guys about. I think it'd make a really good topic for a couple people like seasoned vets like yourselves, because I actually said this live on several different YouTubes many years ago during the last boom, and I said it confidently live, and I want to unpack it a little bit and say something else. But when you're ready to move on,
let me finish on Quilly's note. So I had the bear hat on too much. I was going way too bearish. Let me go Bill Case. I think Quilly's got a good point here. Honestly, I think a lot of these junk slabs have already just disappeared into people's closets from mystery packs already, not as a collectible, but as a consumption clutter in their closet. I agree. I think people way undersell. A lot of people just get, and Alex said earlier something about Dan. He's guaranteeing that Dan will always be on the fence. I'm always going to see the nuance. I'm always going to see like the possibility of multiple outcomes. It's a spectrum, all that stuff. But I think Quilly's right in that a lot more people than we realize are just consuming. A lot of those mystery slabs that people buy from Josh, they buy it, they enjoy it, they see it, they see what they get, they take it home and they put it on their shelf. That will never see the market again. What percent of slabs never get sold again? Absolutely. There are some of them that get passed around like crazy, but a lot of them too, they're one and done. One sale, they will never see the light of day again. They will end up in a landfill. They will end up buried with somebody. I don't know, but they'll never be on the market again. What percent is that? It's hard to say. It's impossible to say, but it blows your mind. But like some amount of Moonbreons that get pulled, like some people think everyone's investing in everything. Everyone's immediately grading every hit that they get. There are tens of thousands of Moonbreons out there, raw. Some folded in half, some crumpled up inside of a couch cushion. The attrition is, so some people think it's 0. So it's obviously higher than that. But some people think everyone's investing too. Like people just get way too far with extremes. And then, oh, well, Dan, you're way too on the fence. That's just really how it needs to be, though. Like there are percentage chances for everything. And life exists in the gray. Life exists in the gray. People get very tribal, though. They get very line in the sand, us versus them. I'm like on the line trying to calm the 2 hordes of people trying to tear each other's heads off. But it's like, hey, there's some room in the middle here. And I live there. But I think that covers the whole junk slab conversation. What have you got for us, Josh? Oh, you're muted, Josh.
Muted, sorry. I saw a lot of great people over the weekend, and I had a lot of great conversations. But one of the conversations that I thought was most fruitful and most interesting was one I had in the car on the way back with a couple of my friends as we were driving. And these guys are vendors. They've vended for a while, so it was a great conversation. I really value their opinions. But I brought up something, sort of a question. And speaking of there's a Pokemon for everyone, there's also an Office quote for everyone. So here, I'm going to pull up an Office quote that's going to highlight this theme. But I love the quote in The Office where Andy says that he wishes there was the way to tell that you were in the good old days before they'd actually left them. Mm-hmm. And it makes me think about Pokemon, because oftentimes we remember like the old days, like the last boom or the previous boom or how it was before. And we base our experiences based on the past for the future based on our experiences. And I used to think that because I'm so tapped in, because I'm a Pokemon YouTuber, I used to stream on Whatnot. This is when I last held this conversation, was when I was still streaming on Whatnot. I used to think that I would be able to tell. Nick and I on our podcast will always say, you know what? We think that this is high right now. The market's really high, so we're comfortable to sell. But we're also comfortable saying that when the market starts changing, since we're so active and engaged with it, we'll be some of the first ones to know. So we'll be able to get ahead of it and be ahead of the market, and we'll be able to tell when the market starts changing. So it'll be easy to tell, and we will know because we're this quote unquote experts, right? Because if you don't know, if I don't know, if we don't know when the boom is happening versus not happening, or can't tell the cycles of it when we've gone through this, who the hell is supposed to be able to tell? So I used to say that I was pretty confident being able to tell when the boom's going to start, when it's going to stop, when we're fully in it, when we're in the middle of it. And I would be able to kind of look at these things based on experience. I can't tell that anymore. I realized this year, and I realized leading up into this boom, that I couldn't tell as we were leading up into it with all the signs that were happening that I was saying on my podcast, we were talking about, all the signs were leading up to it, Pocket, all this stuff. I still couldn't tell, and I was caught with my pants down. And so was everyone else who does this full time. If you weren't, you're a freaking liar. You are a liar if you think you had a crystal ball, because why aren't you a millionaire right now, or a gazillionaire? Because if you are doing really well in Pokemon, if you knew for sure, like all these people know now, they're for sure that this is going to happen. They're confident. Why aren't you a bazillionaire, a gazillionaire? Because you could have went all in, right? And you knew. And the answer is you don't know. The reality is the fact that nobody likes to say that they don't know something. No one wants to go on YouTube and say they're potentially going to be wrong, because you get called a fence sitter, you get called like all these names. Like, I've been there, you've been there. But the reality is you can't tell. I can't tell. And if you can tell, tell me, how do you tell? Tell me how you can tell with the level of confidence, and I'll be a millionaire like you too. And I want to see your bank account if that's the case too, because you should be a millionaire.
That's the thing.
Can you tell when it's in it? Like, is it obvious to you? Would you think that or am I completely like just out of touch and I just can't see anything? Like,
I just listened to a finance video earlier. I forget the channel. I was just down some finance rabbit hole this morning, and they were likening today's Mag 7, your Nvidia, Tesla, Google, so your Mag 7 to the Nifty 50 of like the 70s. And they're saying like it people always say this time it's different. That video was basically like calling for a crash, but not guaranteeing it. So if and when in a year, 2 years, 5 years from now, the Mag 7 has this big dump of, they can point back and they can say, look, but I'm sure if you went and you looked at all their different videos, it's they probably make a lot of videos that are very broad, like Nostradamus. Nostradamus was a guy who used to just write a million different things, very vague. Now with backtesting, with hindsight, people apply his very vague statements. Oh, he must have been talking about this. He must have been talking about that. But as you say, if people had half the confidence that they claim to have, they should be millionaires today. There are people that have been so confidently talking for 10 months in Pokemon. If I knew what the up down of everything was going to be, and it depends on what you start with, but like you should have easily been able to 10x, 20x your net worth regardless. Now when you start talking about crypto with that kind of confidence, when you start talking about your falling triangles and this and that, oh, it's obvious Bitcoin was, well, show me your net worth 5 years ago. Show me your account that started with whatever account it with in Bitcoin. Show me that being 1,000x today. with all this confidence, with all like it's 2008 crash was so obvious with hindsight. The 2000 crash was so obvious with hindsight. It happened, so obviously it happened. It's like it'll be hilarious if and when we return to some boxes being under MSRP. There will be people that blatantly said on their channel, guaranteed it's never going under MSRP. There will be people that are, it's obvious. I've been saying this all along, and it's like a TikTok brain, the world we live in today. People don't go back. People don't care. They're out of the algorithm. They're gone. Some videos will get deleted, but like everything is obvious in hindsight. I can tell you how obvious every should have ran the ball, this, that, the other thing. Should like people get way too confident based on like, oh yeah, it happened, so it had to happen. But that's not how it works. What do you think, Nick?
It's just because people want to appear right and know what they're talking about when nobody actually does. Like look at I forget where, I think it was, I did like the Graham Stephan YouTube class back when I cared about YouTube, and he was saying, I forget what the numbers were, but it's a tiny percentage of people who will actually go back and watch your older videos. It's the newer videos that people watch. So people aren't going back and listening to what you said a year ago. They're only focusing on what you say in the past month or whatever. So that's people just want to appear right and seem like they know what they're talking about when nobody actually does.
And this goes back to like the talking out your asses plus EV, because it's like worst case scenario, you're wrong. Everyone forgets. Some amount of people might like, but like who cares? Doesn't matter. Make a bold call today, especially one that will make people. If it will make people a lot of money or lose people a lot of money, just say it confidently, and then it's like a no lose proposition. It's a plus EV proposition at worst. It is what it is. But these are realities that I know, and I'm not gonna play the like meta game. I'm gonna talk about what I want to talk about. I'm not gonna play like the meta YouTube game. I'm not going to play like the meta stream game either. I'm going to stream and do things in a way that I'm comfortable with, optimal for me, not necessarily optimal for dollars and cents overall.
Do you feel confident in your ability to call when the market is going up versus going down, when we're in it versus not, though?
No, that's the thing. Like,
not.
Destined Rivals could be on its anniversary, May 30th, 2026. Destined Rivals could be $1,000. It also could be $130. I mean, it could be lower than that, but if I say too much, like if I say that it's going to double, everyone, oh yeah, it could double. Destined Rivals could be $5,000 on its anniversary. Literally, Elon Musk could take a liking. Elon Musk has the wealth. I promise you, he could buy everything that exists on the market. He could just make that be true. He's not going to, but like it literally could happen. It could be $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 for a box of Destined Rivals in May of 2026. So you think I'm not bullish? You guys out there think I'm bearish? Destined Rivals could 10x, 100x in the next 6 months. But like then, oh yeah, like Dan's getting a little crazy now, but like, oh yeah, I was on board with like, it could be $1,000. If I say that it could go down to like MSRP, a set that's less than a year old, Dan is insane. Dan's off his rocker. He's like, someone welfare check on Dan. He's gone mad. What are we talking about? Like, nobody knows. And 6 months from now, I'm not going to, like, I will have to do a little bit of, like, I told you soing. But disclaimer, Dan is going to be like, ha, I told you so. I'm buying Prismatic at $4 a pack now because it's widely available at MSRP. I'm going to do the I told you so. But I'm also going to say, like, disclaimer, Dan is going to come out, and I'm going to say, I told you so, but I also knew that, like, this might not have happened. We're in the reality where it happened, but it also could have not happened. But like the people that were saying to me, guaranteeing it won't go under MSRP, the people calling me insane, they won't even be watching. They won't even be watching because they'll already have panic sold to me, to other people, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? It's like, do whatever you're going to do. Some people do let what others say sway them. Generally, it's from like a victimhood stance. If you make your own personal decision and you fail, that's on you. You lost. You are the cause of your outcome. If you offload personal responsibility to your favorite YouTuber, to whoever, you get to play victim in 6 months, a year when it doesn't go that way. So like a lot of people do that in life. A lot of people do that. They hear some crypto NFT recommendation, and that guy was a meanie. He cost me all this money. Like, be a big boy, big girl, make all your decisions for yourself, and that's what I'm out here doing. I don't know what the hell's going to happen. Nobody does. If they say they do, they're lying. They probably have motives.
And please, for the love of God, sell some cards. If you're listening to this right now and all you ever do is buy, just sell a few cards so that you know how to do it when it comes time. Because so many people just invest or throw their money into this space without any level of like plan or ability to like sell. And sure, you can go to a local card show, but we're all going to offer you 70% market, and it's going to be the lowest market we can find. Like, you're not going to get your 100% to get your investment back if you don't make the selling account, get in there, start learning what you have to do to actually sell the cards that you have been amassing. Because sure, like, I can sit here and yell at the sky all day long that they shouldn't be doing this, shouldn't be doing that. But I think it's perfectly safe and perfectly reasonable to be operating in both the bearish and the bullish part of the market when the market's going like this. And when the market's like doing this, there's money to be made in both ways responsibly. But if you're not hedging your bets and you're not learning what you need to do to actually sell some of those investments later on down the line, taking profits where you can, getting out of things where you've maybe decided you want to move on to, what are you doing? Like, Pokemon is essentially mostly like day trading. And if you're not day trading in it, if you're just throwing it in as like an investment portfolio, sure, that's fine, but that's putting a lot of risk and a lot of stock in, like, when you do want to sell, that the market's going to be up. Because when the market's not up, it's hard to sell things when things are going down. When things are going up, it's easy to sell anything. It's like a weird mentality, market mentality people have, this psychological thing. They only want to buy things when they're going up. But once they start going down, when they should be buying them, once it's actually more reasonable, that thing that they once wanted a month before it was going up, they suddenly have moved on to the next thing and they don't want that thing anymore. So it's really important to get out from underneath yourself at times. And most of the people who watch these podcasts, they already know what they're doing and they're already selling. They're already smart. But if you're listening to this podcast, you've never sold anything, you don't have a TCG player account, you don't have an eBay, you haven't ever gone to a local show and maybe set up a table or even considered going to a local card shop and trying to sell your cards, you're in for a world of hurt when you actually go to start doing that. Because these things, while they are very valuable, they aren't always as liquid as they are when the market is up. And so that's always been my caveat with these podcasts is I don't want anyone to lose money, and I'm not trying to make you lose money by influencing you not to spend money on Pokemon if it's what you love. I'm just giving the other opportunity, the other side of how you can maybe protect yourself and do it responsibly and continue to do it, because I don't want to see people leave. Like, what happens in these boom cycles oftentimes that people don't talk about is it's a huge influx of people that come into the hobby. Sure, they all love it, but it's a huge influx that leave the hobby as they get burned, as things cool down, and they feel like, well, why aren't all these investments that I made really great now? I thought this is all going to go up indefinitely, but then they get to a little consolidatory point where things aren't going up anymore, and they feel confused, and they leave the hobby because they felt burned. And I just want people to have the correct understandings and have like the right expectations. Like, because I think right now expectations are you buy Pokemon, it's going to make you rich later on. You just sell it for more later on, and which could absolutely be true. But it's just, you got to basically stick around, because really the money is made in this hobby, not in quick flips. It's made in those who stick around, go through the boom, and really learn from that, I think. So that's my point.
I agree that people should know how to sell, but at the same time, the people who don't know how to sell are doing better than all of us right now. If we had just held everything the past 6 months and not sold a single thing.
Nah, flipping wins, but not everyone wants to flip or has the time to flip. I made that video recently. I put $5,000 in when that could have bought me 10 cases of Phantom Forces or 8 cases, whatever it was. And in the time, I vastly outperformed investing by flipping, but I also put thousands of hours in. I calculated like what my average hourly was over the past 11 years. But
you know what it would be, I wonder if you've done the same in this year. Like if you didn't sell anything this year versus just held on to everything versus selling everything, have you done better still? Like if we did like October to October, I wonder if that's still true with just how much everything is just skyrocketed.
One factor that you need to add in is like the value of the business, the value of the channel that I've created, the ability to get rid of stuff. If you put no value on that, maybe there are certain time periods where holding has outperformed. Like looking at the gray felt hat cases in a vacuum, John and I could have made an additional $100,000 each had we just held it for an additional 6 months. But like, what did we do with all that money in between? I can't speak for John entirely on what he did, but that money was building at that exact time. That money was buying packs to go into the inventory to build like what is now $3 million a year, potentially a lot more soon than that, in sales, like selling platform on Fanatics. So yeah. Same arena, different rules, different games, blah, blah, blah. Same things. At some point, I'm just going to have a soundboard of like 12 different responses that will just work for everything.
So in the beginning of the year, I was putting Gold Star Greninjas, the Lucario V-Stars, the Mewtwo V from Pokemon Go, like all these really, they were less than like $1. They're like $1 to $1.50 to $2 promos. All of that was what was going into my mystery boxes as I was selling them. And then immediately within like 2 to 3 months, all those promos ended up being like 20, 30, $10, $20, $30 now instead of $1 to $3. So
yeah,
like
exactly.
Just literally, I wasn't accounting for that. I was just buying and then putting them in the box, buying at a percentage, buying them for inventory, putting them in. But like the people who bought my boxes from me back then, I didn't value them very highly. Those boxes, if they just kept them sealed, would have been worth a lot more than what they are now, which is insane to me that literally just a random repack that I make is worth a lot more, just based on what I put inside of it. I know I was putting at that time. Dude, when the gray felt hats were like $150, when I could get them like sealed ones for like 150 to 200, I'd even put some of the ones that I thought were a little off center as like the chases in some of my boxes that I would use, because my boxes have a floor of about 50 and a ceiling of about 200. So that fits right in there as like a top hit kind of. And people loved them at the time. And I was getting a bunch and I was just grading the ones that looked good center. I'd be like, all right, well, it's a sealed one. I'll throw it in the box as like a hit. And people, I mean, now those are like $1,000+ So like, so you never know. Like, there's never a way to know. It's just, I would have never in 1,000 years kept any of those things either, though. So like the question to me, like I bought with the intention to sell. You know what I mean? I was flipping intentionally, and that's what my intent was the whole time. It wasn't gonna ever throw it in a kit. I thought those gray felt hat Pikachus would be $100 in PSA 10 before they were $1,000 in PSA 10. And it shows how wrong I was there. I think I sold all mine for like $250 each when they were PSA 10s, the ones I got. So I was really wrong about that. So like, don't listen to me. Clearly, I don't know what I'm talking about. I even sold my Evolving Skies cases when they were like under $200 each because I thought I'd get more. Like back when those were being reprinted back in Evolving Skies. So like, I mean, clearly, I don't know what I'm talking about here. But I've also been here since 2019, consistently selling Pokemon with a business every single year, making money on it in some way, shape, or form. And I'm still not gone. So that will also say something to you about my longevity in the hobby versus some of the other people that I've seen. So I will say, though, that it's just crazy right now. And it's fun to be able to talk about it on YouTube. But it's very, for me, it's not very plus EV to talk about how I feel on YouTube, because my channel isn't really monetized that well. I get a few bucks for every video I post, not very much. And when I do post, people get angry at what I say because they only want to hear that their investments are good and they're going to go up. So oftentimes I end up not saying it, but it is very fun to be able to go on other people's channels and make them angry at them instead of me. So I appreciate that opportunity.
Oh, thanks.
We have a lot of questions that I never got around to. Fat Belly wanted to know 25 minutes into the podcast. He asked this. Sorry, Fat Belly. Are we going to be in Chicago? So this is both like a post card party podcast and also a pre Chicago Collecticon. I will not be there. I can't do the back-to-backs. What about you guys?
I want to go to Chicago someday so bad. I was going to go to a Collecticon out on the East Coast this year, but I got sort of my kneecaps taken out from under under me, and I won't talk much about that. So my inventory situation. Oh, look at her. She's so cute. What's her name?
Copper.
Copper. She looks like a copper. Is she a basset hound?
She's a mutt. She's foxhound in part, a lot of different things. We did the DNA test, and I think her highest percentage was foxhound at 25% and some other kind of hound at 25%.
I love the hound dogs. I got a little hound dog with his big floppy ears. I love the floppy ears.
Oh, you're making me jealous over here. I'll hold up my little Squirtle.
Yeah. I want to go to a Collecticon really bad this year, but I had all my inventory taken from me out of my the back of my car recently, and I'm still sort of recovering from that. And it doesn't make much sense for me to travel across the country and do a lot of like expensive when I have limited inventory. So I'm still in recovery mode, but I'm doing well. So for any of you who were wondering about that, I really don't like to talk about it so much publicly. I'm doing okay. I appreciate anyone reaching out. But it's just not something, I don't really air my dirty laundry on like in public too much. So, but yeah, that's why I probably won't be going to any more Collecticons this year, but next year I definitely will.
I will be there. I'm looking forward to it. We got me, Thrifty, Walrus, Hive Mind's coming, Birch is coming, the Green Shiz is coming, Gem Min's coming, I think, right? I'm pretty sure he's coming. So yeah, I'll be
He is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he said he was. But yeah, I'll actually be set up with me. It's gonna be me, Walrus, Thrifty, Birch, set up with a section there. Vending, so that'll be interesting. I haven't vended a Collecticon in quite some time, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Appreciate you, Zach, for the 20 gifted. Yeah, I saw him at Card Party. Obviously, we spoke on the phone a little bit yesterday, and he's trying to coax me into Chicago Collecticon, but I just can't. We have we left the parents and the dog. We left Copper with my parents last weekend for 4-day weekend. 4 nights, actually, 5-day weekend. And I just can't do back-to-backs. We've got soccer. We've got all different kinds of things going on. We're actually buying new bedroom sets for the kids this weekend, I think. Pong is going to be there, too. Pong is very upset with you, Nick, for not
He
mentioning his
literally
name.
said he wasn't going. Oh, now Collecticon's ruined.
It changes every week for him. He's going, he's not going, he's going, he's not going, you know. I keep hearing different things.
But yeah, definitely. Here's actually another question that ties in with that nicely. Mega Evo Mart, I saw you asked this multiple times. Sorry, I didn't take it initially, but this one you asked over an hour ago. So thank you for your patience. New Jersey vendors got an email from the state of New Jersey that they need to register their business. Are we cooked? So let me give you a little bit of business documentation lore in Collecticon history. The first time, as far as I understand it, that ever happened was Denver. Shout out to Denver 2022 was Denver, I believe.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of that, last time we had Josh on the podcast, it was a post Denver Collecticon recap. So it said 2 years ago on YouTube, but it's almost 3 years ago now. Almost 3 years ago now is the last time we had Josh on. But they did that vendor permit, sales tax, whatever it was. And you know what happened? We never went back to Denver. So the second time that happened in Collecticon history was in the spring at Chicago. Presumably, it's going to happen this weekend because it's Chicago again. But, like, is that the death knell for Chicago Collecticons? Is that the death knell for, New Jersey? We had one in the spring. We're having one in November again. I don't know. I think generally the Collecticon brothers, and this is my speculation, this is not me hearing that from them firsthand, but I think they like to go with the states that are a bit cheaper, that are a bit more like live and let live on the whole red tape and on the whole like tax stuff. So it would not be shocking to me if some of these states that provide additional hoops to jump through, if they're not revisited. Is that entirely the reason that they didn't go back to Denver? I don't know. But New Jersey and Chicago, I think that the cons did so well, though. It would be shocking that if they didn't do like a couple hoop jumps to get back there, but we'll see. What do you guys think? Do you guys think Chicago and New Jersey are cooked for next year? Are they not going back?
I think they have to, especially New Jersey. I hope they come back to Chicago, selfishly, but I think New Jersey is one of the busiest ones. At least the time I went. But yeah, no, it's such a. I hate it. It's so dumb.
Well, I mean, you're technically already supposed to be registering, so it's not really anything that's different. They're just giving you a form. So I personally don't think that it's going to affect one way or the other whether they go back. I think it was just a little coincidence, personally. I've been to plenty of shows that give the form and other shows that don't, and it's just like Pokebondo is saying in the comment here. It's difficult to get vendors to actually fill everything out, but I don't think it's the venue that's going to get fined or is going to get the penalty if something doesn't happen from that. I think the vendor themselves is the one who's going to get the tax ramifications, not the sales. Now, I could be wrong about that depending on the state. Maybe the state requires the venue to actually like get everything from, and then they're held reliable. And so it's like on them how they collect. But I'm not sure how that works depending on the state. But technically, you're already supposed to be filing everything as it is with your state. So really, that's not going to change, I think, how vendors operate, because it doesn't. If they
most are not doing that.
Yeah, no. either they fill it out or they don't, and they're either not or they are. That doesn't change whether they're going to keep doing it. I don't think so. So yeah, I don't know how it's going to work with different states, but I don't think it's necessarily correlated to where the venue goes back to. I think it's just a healthy coincidence. That's what I think.
This is not to get political. This is just statement of objective fact, I think. I think the redder the state is, generally speaking, the less likely it is to have these additional red tape hoops to jump through. And I think the bluer the state is, generally speaking, the more likely it is to have the obligations actually followed up through. Again, not like trying to say anything more than I'm saying with that. I think that's just what it is, right?
So Pokebondo is saying in one of his comments that he thinks it might be the venue who actually, and the promoters who might be liable potentially in their state. So very interesting if that's the case. I love that. If that's the case, put all the liability on the vendor, not on the, on the showrunner, not the vendor. That's better for the vendors because that's less that they have to deal with if they aren't necessarily crossing their T's and dotting their I's, but they should be already. And so
one good analogy. I don't know, like Nick, I know you were around. John, I don't know how long you've been on eBay, but remember like a little less than a decade ago, eBay was sending out all those emails, vote for this, vote for that, write your legislators. They did not want to become a marketplace facilitator who has to collect and remit sales tax on behalf of the buyer because they knew that none of their vendors were doing it. Theoretically, it fell on the vendors to do it. But ultimately, the government was like, no, there's way too much money falling through the cracks. eBay, you are the marketplace facilitator. You have to do it. Honestly, in hindsight, I love it. Being primarily a seller.
I would say the same thing. I really like it too. Yeah, that's great.
Being somebody who's above board, the process to be able to get sales tax exempt on items intended for resale, you send in the form, boom, boom, you're done within 24 hours usually. So it's like, I say this many times in a lot of my videos and on these live streams, but like if you are in business as a business, buying, selling, making money, investing, like if your intent is profit, do things above board. It will be easier for everyone. Like say, Nick is selling this weekend at Chicago. Say that I did fly out there. I'm a sales tax exempt individual. If I just gave him my number, if I gave him my permit number, it would be like, hey, Nick could sell to me for, which that's a little dicey, I guess, in person maybe. Because it's a destination.
I don't even know what to do. What would I even do with that? I have no idea.
You don't even do anything with it. I think you pretty much
have to have you fill out one of those forms.
And then you just file it. And if somebody ever comes to you later, it's like, hey, here's the form. But other than that, like you don't actively do anything with it. I've actually received from some people, I've received that for private sales. They've just given it to me like, hey, I'm buying all this stuff from you. They've given me like, here, hey, I'm tax exempt. It's like, okay, great. Like that's good. That makes it easier for everyone. And ironically and funny enough, like if you sell on eBay, you would rather sell to someone not paying sales tax because eBay charges final value fees on sales tax. So like, please, for the good of the hobby, for the good of your fellow flippers, collectors, investors, scalpers, whatever they are, for the good of everybody, get sales tax exempt if you're buying items intended for resale. I don't want to die with any of this stuff. I mean, I intend to sell all this someday, right? So you don't pay sales taxes on items intended for resale. Do your part.
Do your part.
What are the PokeFlipz 10 commandments? Number 1, thou shalt register as a business. Absolutely.
That's a good number 1. That's a really good number 1.
I mean, how are you going to be doing business if you're not registered as such? We all want to be doing business. So register as such. Number 2, don't grid with tag. That's funny.
I've had a tag slab in my case for like 3 months now that I thought would sell in a matter of weeks because it was a really hot slab. Yeah, it's still sitting there, so maybe that's a good commandment.
Dan, does the resale permit allow you to sell with any benefits, or is it only as a buyer? The resale permit is something that's required to get into like distro, and well, I know that's like not easy to do even with the reseller permit, but that's the biggest thing, I think. And one thing, as I started saying it,
won't let you sign up without a permit as well. Like when I first started doing shows in California, a couple showrunners made me give like a resale permit or something because you're setting up at like a public place and they have to make sure that it's all legit. So some do, some don't, but there are benefits to it for sure.
There's actually local like beer stein shows to me that required people show a permit, and that was like a whole thing in that space. But one thing that I as I started saying it, I have a New York resale permit. If I were to if I go on my eBay, say I wanted to buy some item and have it shipped to Ponga directly for the streams, I can't do that because I'm not Illinois based. I'm not Illinois sales tax exempt. So honestly, per the letter of the law, I wouldn't be able to fly to Collecticon and buy from Nick in Chicago sales tax exempt. The technically correct thing to do would be for Nick to collect and remit sales tax from that transaction because I'm not sales tax exempt in Illinois. But
Wait, no,
I'm pretty sure that's the way that would work. I'm sales tax exempt on eBay, but if I ship to PK or Pongo, which I've tried,
Nexus is hell.
But how like Southern Hobby, I'm getting my stuff from New York.
Destination based. So you're buying it. It's shipping to Illinois. You are sales tax exempt in Illinois. So on eBay, when I sell on eBay, if they're in California, they pay their local sales taxes. If they're in Tennessee, they pay their local sales taxes. If I'm physically flying out of my locale and I'm transacting in the state of Illinois, I'm not sales tax exempt there. So theoretically, every time, even though I'm a sales tax registered business, all that, I'm not registered in states. Card Party, if I had bought anything, like theoretically, people should have charged me sales tax because I was not sales tax exempt in Washington.
There's a reason I don't sell my boxes online via a website that I made my own or anything like that. That I only sell them on eBay or through sales tax remissions or at local shows or things. It's really difficult, all those extra states and the hoops and stuff. And if you don't really know what you're doing, you can possibly get caught up, and it's just not worth it. So it's just easier for me not to sell online and not do that whole dog and pony show essentially.
And the whole conversation is funny because like the answer is like most people are not doing any of this whatsoever to any extent. Most people are not claiming any of the sales, let alone sales tax. They're not touching income taxes, anything like that. It is what it is. Could you clarify for Collecticon Denver, Chicago, did the state actually contact vendors personally, email prior to the event? I remember hearing it was like they handed out forms. Oh, so this is actually like, this is you got an email from the state of, I guess I read the question, but I didn't really think about it as I was reading it. So you got an email to your business email from like the New Jersey Department of Finance or the Department of Taxation or whatever. I'm trying to think what we call it in New York. I didn't realize that as I read it, but you're getting an email from a governmental body. That I think that is different. I mean, it's not extreme. I guess the big difference is that it's directly tied to you digitally, paper trail, all that stuff. Whereas in Chicago, it was a piece of paper that came from same set office, but it was photo printed 1,000 times, and they don't know that you got it in your hands. Now they're tying to you, your business email address. So there's a paper trail tying it to you specifically. That is a little bit scarier, I guess.
The email is a little bit more scary than the handed form, even though it's the same thing and it's allegedly no different. It does definitely feel a little bit more directed, a little bit more like they're going to get you, basically.
And honestly, it's probably more bark than bite. If I had to guess, this is not financial nor tax advice. I would guess it's more bark than bite, meaning I don't see the people having much come to them that don't do anything. That said, it is the patriotic thing to do to pay your taxes, right? Uncle Sam needs his money, so pay up. But the thing that I went back to is like a lot of people, and this is, I'm questioning myself if I should say it as I'm preparing to say it. People are evading taxes in such a dumb, inefficient way. It's like, I'm not advocating for anything, but people just do everything off the books. Theoretically, if they were to do like some on the books and some off the books, they would have much more opportunities afforded to them. Please don't do that. But like, people might understand what I'm saying, but probably most won't. But like, if you entirely do it, yeah, I'm not going to get too much deeper than that, because then it just sounds like I'm advocating for something. But it is in most people's best interest. It is in most businesses' best interest to actually conduct business. I talk about the buckets. I talk about the tax advantage savings. There's more than that. There's the home business use of home. There's writing off your mileage. Like all those people getting the government on. You could just be a cash-based business, do it all on the books and legitimately, and still pay no taxes. Like what are people doing? Most people are engaging in a way that would yield them no tax obligation, but they think they're pulling one over on someone. That is how like every business in the space operates that's doing it legitimately. You're just hurting yourself not being registered as business, cash-based business. I'm trying to choose my words carefully, and I feel like I'm not doing a good job, but it's like the people who know, and the people who don't know will never know. Like literally just cash-based business. If you roll all your profits into your business already, spend to zero every December, and you legally owe no taxes every December. Like if you just spend it all to zero, that's what most people are doing. But most people are doing it in a very horrific way. Like it's wild.
All roads lead back to KetchumAll tax advice on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
We always get there.
It's not advice, not tax advice, but you know.
Not tax advice. KetchumAll, not tax advice.
It's specifically not, but you know. I probably have about 15 to 20 more minutes of good time before I have to go make an appointment. So if anyone has any questions in the chat that they want to get to, maybe we can get down to the bottom eventually and get to some of those if there are any specific questions. But
here's a good one from Mason.
Guys, what's the heat check for the hobby? You guys think we're still on the way up, or you think we're gonna start hitting the holidays and go the way down? I want to know what the chat sort of thinks. If I'm cooked, and I think that because I believe that we're nearing the top, and that it can only go on for so much longer. And if I'm looking at other cycles, it feels very much so like the cycle is completing itself now. And so I would love to hear what some of the chat thinks, if they think I'm crazy, or what you guys think for the next 6 months.
Me personally, I know you're asking chat, but like I think the path to MSRP for Prismatic is that there's so many amazing sets coming out now that they're just going to sneak all these Prismatic dumps through Costco, through Sam's, through wherever. And it's kind of like in the background. Mega Evolutions is $300. Destined Rivals is $500. Meanwhile, yes, the ETBs, the ETB cases, but like the packs of Prismatic are whittling their way down. And we have another year of amazing sets to come out. And people say like, oh, well, they can't print it all. They don't really have to print it all at once. Like people hear me say everything that has never been available under MSRP will likely be available under MSRP at some point. People hear me say, this is a rant that I had before. I, in my mind, have like message A that I'm trying to deliver. People hear B, and then they repeat it as C. I was watching an Alex Nostalgianomics video recently. It was in like the last 5 minutes. Dan said everything's going under MSRP. He said that in a way that like SV1 is going to be under MSRP and SV2 and SV. I've never said that. I'm not calling for that. And then even further, so like that person clearly misunderstood me horrifically. I think Prismatic and Destined and Mega and Black and White and Journey, I think all those would be available under MSRP at some point. But like other people misunderstand me in another way, it doesn't have to be all at once. It could be on a rolling thing, like, and it might not be. When I say widely available, if it's like in stock on eBay for at or under MSRP per pack for any product line, that's eBay is widely available. TCG players widely available. Sam's Club, Costco, widely available. Oh, I don't have one. Okay, like I'm not saying everyone is going to get one, but I could see in the next year and a half, which is like if Sea and Sky boxes, if we do the time that those were coming out at Costco, subtracted by the release date, we have a year and a half plus of Prismatic Evolutions. So I think whether it's in 6 months, 12 months, 8, I don't know, but I think those will be trickling out. We're on Phantasmal. We're on the next best set, and we're so caught by the current hype that it just happens under our noses without people realizing. I'll be making a video. I'll be saying I told you so to 1,500 viewers who are the same 1,500 viewers who tune into all my stuff and not like the mainstream. But people will be crying about Mega, crying about Phantasmal, and it'll sneakily happen where Journey goes under MSRP. And no one's buying it because everyone's just got their eyes full of tears about the latest and greatest set. So I think that'll be the path. I think that'll be the path to most sets, if not all, getting widely available under MSRP. But here's another thing. I've never said under 160. I guess MSRP is by the set though. But like I truly think if this boom doesn't stop booming soon, in a year from now, MSRP will be 180. They're gonna go to $4.99 a pack. I think that'll help. If they make MSRP on the sets a year from now, 180, that helps. Few less people can bought it, few less people can scalp it, whatever. And they're getting more on that. That'll help them be able to get more of the Prismatic, more of the Destined. Like simultaneously, they'll be able to, a little less will be bought of the newer stuff, theoretically, and they'll be able to get out more of that old stuff. And who knows what's going to happen? A lot of people think they do, but nobody actually does.
I can't see because like how many times have they increased MSRP? Like what was MSRP back in '99?
$2.99 a pack, I believe.
Okay.
They released it most recently at the beginning of Scarlet and Violet. That was the most recent time.
Yeah. And then what was before that? I don't even know.
I was getting booster boxes for like $92 before that, and it went up to like $101 after the MSRP increase with Scarlet and Violet. That's why I had to stop buying from my distributors, because when it went up to like $101, the boxes were going for like $80 at the time. And so it was like I bought for a couple of sets like that, but then I eventually had to drop off because no money could be made in Pokemon. And you hear what I just said? That there was a time less than 2 years ago that I had to stop buying from distribution because you couldn't make money selling straight from distributor to the market, straight up. And so that's something that I think people don't realize and don't think about because they haven't been here. They weren't here for that. They just see all the prices of those boxes are $300+ a box now, and you can't even imagine it being $80 and not being able to get rid of it, you know. So I do want to say one thing though, that I don't worry, but I have a thought, invasive or intrusive thought they're starting to win about Phantasmal Flame. And Phantasmal Flames is a really, really small English set. It's incredibly small. There's not a lot of chases in it either. And traditionally speaking, when you have a small Charizard set with not as many of the chases, they're easier to hit. So you get more of those hits more often. It pulls a little bit of cold water on the market typically. It doesn't do the opposite. It doesn't make people excited that it's easier to get those Charizards. It means the price is a little cheaper because it's easier to get, so people aren't as excited. And so I have a sneaking suspicion that all this set, the best set ever with the best Charizard that's ever been made, that people are glazing and telling all these like investing $500 a box, and it seems like I have a feeling that there's a chance it's not going to be as hot as people think it is. I could be wrong, of course, because we could still be heavily into the boom when this comes out, so it's not going to get a real chance to actually do what it would normally do. But small sets traditionally don't do as well. I remember the Zard UPC for Celebrate or for the Sword and Shield block was pre-selling for $300 per Zard UPC. And everyone was very confident about that being like the next big investment. And then Walmart came out with unlimited amounts of pre-orders. You could buy 10 at a time, buy as many as you want. And they just dropped them for like days and days and days. And people flooded them. But then those things dropped to like under $100 a box. Now, of course, they're like over 400 now. So they've recovered since then. Everything has. But I do believe there's a world where even the next best set in the biggest boom of all time that we've ever had, a Charizard set could potentially get lower than what it was on pre-orders. I don't know if we're getting to MSRP yet, but we're getting potentially lower. So I don't know. I do think that there's a world where we start seeing some healing in the Pokemon market. And I don't think that prices going back a little bit down is bad in any way. I would consider that a good thing, honestly, a healthy thing. But I could be wrong. So
I don't know with how good this Charizard's going to be. Look, with how good it actually looks, like Obsidian Flames, with the Charizard was terrible in that set. So it made sense to me, but where the Charizard here is such a good looking card, it might be enough to keep the price up on like boxes and packs and all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. People just get so weird. They get so stuck into certain things. They get so confident on certain things. There's not enough time to like go back and do all this, and people just won't care. But like, go back and do a case study on the 6-month window, 3 months before the release of the Charizard UPC and 3 months after. Maybe it took till 6 months, 9 months after. People like, oh, it's the next, it's stonk it to the moon, and pre-orders are $200-$300, and then it was trash. While it was $200-$300, it was gold. While it was $72 at Costco, it was trash. People are just very, very fickle, very, very unintelligent, honestly. Let's see if we can grab some more questions.
Everything's always a great play until it's not. That's what people don't want to hear, but that's the reality of it. I feel like it's always a good idea until it's not. And then when it's not, you look like an idiot and you don't want to talk about it. And then everyone disappears. But as long as everyone's winning and making good decisions, they're all going to brag about it. And you're all going to signal that they're the biggest brain in the planet. So it's just a matter of like what gets put online versus what's not. And it's just like, when the market's hot like this, you hear everyone saying that when things go down, they'll buy it all. But then when the market goes down, those guys disappear and they're not buying it all, clearly, because it keeps going down usually. So it's just the thing that you hear during all the booms. I mean, hell, you guys remember last boom in 2020, 2021, during the vintage boom, as it were, with the Logan Paul stuff, we saw PSA shut down. CGC hadn't opened its doors yet. And every graded card, no matter what, if it was a PSA 10, was worth over $100. It didn't matter if it was a modern, vintage. I was confident at that time because I was a few years into it, so I was greener than I am now. I thought, because it was before CGC opened, I thought we would never see graded PSA 10s less than $100. So I was buying them up on auctions, on eBay. I was buying them on Whatnot. I was buying them on Craigslist at the time, on Mercari. I was getting any slab that I could for under $100 if it was a PSA 10, and then selling them for over $100. Now that still hasn't like recovered a lot of those slabs, and that had something to do with PSA being shut down. There wasn't another good company that would like take up the volume, like CGC kind of came in and ate up a lot of the volume. I know a lot of people don't like CGC, but CGC sort of helped save the market, the graded market, in a lot of ways by being that next big name that you could grade with that puts pressure on PSA to actually maybe do a little bit. Because let's be honest, BGS, there's no competition between PSA and BGS. They're totally different markets. I don't know what BGS does. They operate in their own thing. It doesn't seem like they're competing against anyone. They're in their own weird game that I don't know what the rules are. I don't know if anyone really does. But PSA and CGC, both very competent companies now. And I've seen the slab market come down. And I know we were talking about how we don't have a junk slab market, but like there really wasn't a junk slab market in 2020, like when people were just getting into graded Pokemon again. So we're getting progress. Things are getting better, even if it doesn't feel like they are. They are getting better.
Did you guys see anything? I don't know what Peak is talking about here. Ken Golden's upcoming auction. And then I saw someone talking about like Logan Paul selling or buying things again. I'm not even up to date with what's going on with Ken Golden and or Logan Paul.
I have no idea. I could not tell you.
I wasn't lying when I said I was really out of touch with the market. I've been on like this One Piece hype forever, so I'm very out of touch with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not buying on the golden market right now.
No.
I'm trying to Google different things, and it's mostly just stuff from a few years ago.
Like I personally, for personal collection stuff, there's very few things right now that I would be comfortable buying. There are things that I'm comfortable buying, and I like a lot of stuff that's out there that's still available. But a lot of the stuff that's in auction and the big stuff that's going up, the popular things, I've had many years to look into that stuff, and I never wanted it then. So like now that a lot of the gold stars are the highest they've ever been and vintage stuff is the highest it's ever been, I don't feel like I'm missing out and that I'll never be able to get in again. It's like I could have gotten that many years ago when it was cheaper. Now I just feel like the people who are buying it are being ridiculous. So so I'm more of a seller than a buyer in this market, but it is interesting to see like what is being sold. I'm sure there's some crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Ghetto says, would you guys ever vend in a different country for the experience? And if so, what country? Sounds miserable, to be honest.
I was going to say that.
Currency issues, going through customs with all that money. There's probably a legitimate way to leave the country. And then there's just so much stuff that sounds horrific, honestly. That sounds like the worst thing ever. I'm going to go to another country and see sights and eat the food and meet the people. But like selling, I do that from right here, perfectly fine and easy. And card party, I bought souvenirs for the kids. I didn't source anything. I didn't sell anything. I go to these events for the people, the food, the experiences, the geography, not to sell. Or not to like. There's business is always being done, but not through exchanging money and cards. It's like bigger things, talking to other people about like bigger things, not the actual transactions, at least for me right now.
I feel the same. If I'm going to go to a different country, it's going to be a fun vacation.
I'm not bringing my card inventory over to another country. There's no way in hell. Like, absolutely not. Like, what am I going to do? Set up a table with like nothing to say buying at 80% or something and hope that I can get some cool Japanese stuff? Maybe no. I would go to a Japanese card show to go and look and buy and see what their little market, if they have any, but I wouldn't set up at one. No, probably not.
So shout out to Quilly.
Yeah.
Quilly DM'd me the video. Do we want to watch it? We can watch an Instagram reel, right? Live on YouTube. I don't think with an Instagram reel.
We'll miss out on the 20 cents that we would have made otherwise.
Yeah, I don't think it's a huge deal. I'll try to present this. Share screen. Let's try to watch this live. I don't know if the sound will come through. We'll try though. We'll see what happens.
I need my popcorn. We're having movie time.
So take it away, Ken Golden.
We can't hear it.
You guys can't hear it. There is the words over the thing. So I guess everyone
we won't get
read the captions
this way. In the history of the hobby.
Here we go.
Oh, he's not even going to tell us? He's just edgelording us?
Is it Logan's Illustrator? I guess that's what people are speculating.
I mean, with the big like $4 million sale for the PSA 9 that supposedly didn't happen or didn't. I know it didn't happen, but it got on PSA. I wouldn't be surprised if he's trying to use the Wall Street Journal, article, use all the hype that Pokemon's getting, and finally get out of that brick. I mean, he's been sitting on that brick. Years, so.
Yeah, I was not aware of this short until Peak just mentioned it, and thanks again, Quilly, for DMing it. But it sounds like lot one is probably Logan's Illustrator. Like, I don't know what else he would. Well, the way that Ken Golden can shill stuff. I mean, he made the CD promos. He made the Neo files back in 1999 sound like they were guaranteed. Which it's ironic. It's funny because like they're worth more than they sold them for now. but it could be anything. It sounds like it would have to be the PSA 10 Illustrator, but the way that he pumps, it might be a consecutive serial set of like 3 Black Label Burger Chews for all we know.
Those, if you listen to Nick, are more valuable than gold. Those are his and a lot of people's investment class into, you know, the next bracket.
Mm-hmm. And actually, shout out to the Home Shopping Network. I think Golden, I forget if Golden partnered with like HSN or what channel Ken Golden was on. But like, if anyone didn't watch it, Cam made a video. Our favorite Cam of Z&G Emporium and PSA fame. He sold me this box that had the original invoice back from, they bought it for $700 in February of 2000. February of 2000, they diamond handed it. They held it in a closet in their basement, under their bed, wherever, the whole time. But yeah, go check out Cam's video. That was a fun one. I got to buy that from him. The heavy packs are now available on Fanatics Live with PK and Ponga. And the light packs are all at PSA to get their inevitable PSA 8s.
Oh, God. Good luck on those.
How much is pack rating these days? I have a bunch I need to send in, but I've been dragging my feet on it. It's been a while. Last I checked, it was like 30 or 35.
35. Okay. I believe 35, yeah. So we'll see what happens. I'm probably going to get wrecked on 8s, but 9s and 10s go for like a hefty margin over what I value them at in the buy. So there could be money. Oh, Ponga still has a bunch of the superior Japanese base decks. So like we sell the decks for the same price as the packs, and the packs sell quicker. Like that's how irrational and crazy people are. So heavy packs we sell. It is a guaranteed holo. So a heavy pack is a guaranteed holo. Money back if it's not. Japanese base way is easy, but we sell those for the same price. And in the deck, you get a random holo, just like in the pack, but you get 60 cards total. So you get 30 of them are energies and whatever. But like it's 2 packs worth of commons and uncommons. I think there's 2 non-holo rares, whereas in the booster pack, I can't remember. Do you get a holo and a non-holo rare, or is it just the holo rare then commons and uncommons? Josh, you're muted again.
In the decks you do, but not the booster pack. You only get the non-holo rares in the light packs.
So it's a matter of, and Fanatics, like relative to eBay, the buyer education on Fanatics when it comes to Pokemon is just not quite as there. Maybe on eBay Live we'd have a better chance of actually selling them. But like 1-to-1, if you're ripping, most savvy people, most people watching PokeFlipz probably would, like, if you're gonna rip, you would rather the deck because you're getting more. You're getting more. But people know the pack, they understand the pack better, so we sell the packs more. So Ponga doesn't have packs. Sorry, Ponga, I did misspeak. PK has all the packs, but Ponga has the superior yet inferior decks.
I don't know if that's still the case, but those decks used to be like the funnest gamble. If you just want to rip some old vintage product, send it all to PSA and try to like make a little money, have a little fun, and maybe make a lot of money if you get the Charizard. Those are like one of my favorite ways to like gamble in the hobby. I don't know what they cost now, if like the EV has changed or anything.
They're like 700 to 1,000. I think we sell them for 900, depending on the day, depending on the auction. I've seen auctions on eBay at like near 1,000, and I've seen some near like 700.
Yeah, that's not too bad actually, because back when I was buying them, they're like 400 to 600. So it's really hasn't gone up that much compared to others.
Yeah, not compared to a lot of things on the market. And there's a lot of non-holos that like sometimes you'll get hit with a bad OC one where the whole deck's just OC. But a lot of the PSA 10s of the just commons and uncommons are pretty solid. So it depends. Like you can definitely make money, but you can also pull a Blastoise that's OC, get a 9, and then all your commons and uncommons are OC, and you lose money, like hitting second best in the set. So it can go either way.
Yeah, they're fun. They're really fun. They always were, and it sounds like they still are, honestly, because you get a bunch of cards, and those base set cards are still like iconic. I'm surprised that more people aren't taking you up on those on your. Actually, I'm not surprised because it's Japanese, and vintage Japanese just doesn't.
It's Japanese TCG. It's Japanese TCG on an English sports marketplace. But like Fanatics we're already like very niche in Pokemon. And then to go Japanese, that vintage, like it's just and Julia, like there's different codes. I think there's a code that doesn't guarantee no rarity, but it gives you a chance. Mine are like the basic, most common code, no chance at no rarity.
There's a really, really good Reddit about the no rarity base set decks and all the different variations and codes. And on the Reddit, you can get really, really good information about that. That's far more, reliable than what we're gonna spout off based on memory.
Yeah. What percentage of PokeTubers that created a channel in the past year will still create content if the market goes down for longer than a month?
Here, let me jump in on this one because I'm a Sanji fan. I'm one of the few Sanji fans in the world, as well as Ghetto here. So this will be one of my last questions too, and I'm gonna have to duck out for my appointment that I have here. So
is that his avatar? That's his picture?
Yeah, Sanji is his avatar. He's a One Piece character that gets, unfortunately, no love because the animators like to animate him in doing weird things, whereas the manga, he's way better. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. I'm a Sanji fan. Anyway, you will find, Ghetto, that I'm one of the PokeTubers who will start making Pokemon content as the market starts going down. I actually hate boom content. I don't consume it. I don't like making it. If you see leading up to the boom, my channel kind of fell off, but or it was going strong, but it fell off going into the boom. It will get stronger and stronger as the boom disappears. So like, I'm not going anywhere. My channel is not going anywhere, but during the boom, nobody wants to hear what I have to say. And frankly, I don't want to really say what people don't want to hear in lots of ways because it doesn't benefit me very much. And it's better for people just to buy irrationally. Like, go spend all your money on Pokemon for all I care. Do irrational things. At the end of the day, it's not my paycheck that's going to get wrecked. But yeah, I'll probably make more content as the boom slows. And I'm sure some people will too. I'm not the only one who doesn't love what's happening right now, who still made content back before, who will make content after as well. So I know these guys will. But
yes, I'll never quit making content.
Well, that's a lie. You'll be on this PokeFlipz.
He's making more than ever.
Again,
he's making more than ever. Just the URL has a different prefix. It's all ebay.com/ all the numbers and those live stream URLs are crazy.
I'll just say our good buddy Pokenav. Anyone remember him? Yes, it'll be a lot of those types of people. Yes, you'll have a percentage of people who continue making content because they enjoy it, blah blah blah, all that stuff. But I think the vast majority of people, once the boom does come to an end, their views drop off. It's not as exciting anymore. They'll quit and move on to the next thing.
Yeah, YouTube is such a rabbit hole because like the amount of people that I like met and saw at Card Party that I didn't even know were a thing, and then they have like six figures of subscribers and whatever. Like I was aware of and did get to meet Pokebeard, who has, I forget what his but really high subscriber count. He's doing really well on YouTube. But then there's like a Poke Dad Beard Dad Poke whatever. Like his line, I've never heard of him. His line was like 50 people long. It was insane, and that was like just one that comes to mind. Let me see if I can find him.
He's basically Coop's collection, but with a beard. That's what Beard Dad is.
Beard Dad cards, 276,000 followers, and the amount of times that like. Shout out to I didn't get to see or talk to Toyspake Jake, who I've known him for a while, but I talked to Rob RoboSkills, who Nick and I met years ago in Vegas. But they have the Card Lounge podcast. It's a lot newer than this podcast. It's a lot more flashy. They get a lot more views than we do. But like they had somebody on recently. They had somebody on just the other day. They do a weekly one. We only do every other week. But they had somebody on I'd never heard of. She's got this many followers on Instagram, and it's like. The amount of channels out there, it is wild. So whether it's 20% or 90%, like I don't know, but it will be a higher percentage than that would be there if the boom continued booming, right? Like absolutely, people will leave the market when, like by definition, when the market cools down, less people will be contributing to it in it, so less content will be made. But yeah, this Beard Dad cards, vendor POVs, 40K, 50K, 100K views, like I've never come across, and he's so many multiples of what I am, and he's up there with like Bulbasaurs, and I'm familiar with Bulbasaurs and Jarchomp, but there's just a lot more than I'd ever realized. It's crazy.
It's wild. I think we talked about this before, but we were talking about Rusty, TCA Gaming, in the eBay Live at one point. And there were actually a lot of people who had never heard of him, which makes sense because he's smaller. But to me, that's wild how someone can go not knowing him.
And I think it's good in a lot of ways too, because it's like that's how big the hobby is. We get very honed in on our personal experiences, our personal bubble. I watch a lot of the same, like few dozen channels, mostly friends at this point in the space, but I've tried branching out, and I've tried like watching more of the mainstream stuff, and I can't watch a lot of it's not geared towards me, but I try to I try to keep mind on like what's actually out there. And there's it's great for a guy like Rusty, because like theoretically, and I don't know if he has this as a goal or if he cares to, but he could have a second coming, right? Like I don't know how many subs he has when he got them all, but like there's hundreds of thousands more that he could end up getting into their algorithm. And like he's been around for so long, and to us it feels like everyone knows him, but he could boom again, and he could be I think he talked in his recap video about how his line had 15 people in it throughout the hour and a half, and Coops was like running circles around all of Washington and maybe down into Utah and wherever. But
Washington.
But like that's good. That means a lot of people are enjoying this thing we all share and know and love in Pokemon. I think that's good.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, Josh,
it's just one of those things. I think that content is consistently said to be one of the biggest driving factors for like why people think that this might be like more sustainable, or what's different about it, or how it's like just got so much more room to grow. And I don't disagree with that. I just think it's one of those like almost unlimited, untapped potential powers that we're still learning. Like, I mean, you remember when Pat Flynn, speaking of Card Party, first got into the Pokemon scene, there was no real good quality editing, quality video production, quality like content like that really. I mean, it existed, but it was like within the space. He came in from outside of the space and brought it to the space, these quality level controls that you saw in other places, and he brought it to Pokemon, and now that's much more common now. So I do think that it's just going to get bigger and bigger because of content. To say like how big, it's hard to say. That's maybe where I'm wrong about a lot of things, is that maybe I'm not taking into account the potential growth for so much more that we didn't have in the 90s. But like I always see it as a growing and shrinking kind of an ebb and flow market. It booms and it busts. In order for it to boom, it has to bust as well, and it's a cycle. But you know, maybe we're just at the very low part of that boom, and we have much more of that boom cycle to go through. Nowadays, people view Pokemon cards as this level of asset class that I just still have a hard time wrapping my head around, like with that level of confidence. But it is it's different now, so I don't know. Anything last before I have to take off, because I am going to be late if I don't go soon. So so I'm going to dip out early, but you guys will probably end up going a little longer, I'd imagine. So
I don't know if you want to take this one quickly. Gatto asked, do you guys feel like the price of English versus Japanese versus Chinese will stay the way they are, or should they get closer?
So I love Chinese because it has those exclusive arts, but at the same time, it really worries me because of those exclusive arts. It's the same thing with Japanese. Like whenever I buy Japanese stuff, I only buy the stuff that I can't get in English. But if I knew it was going to be in English, or I thought it was going to be later on, I usually hold off, and it causes me not to want it. And so as long as Chinese keeps being super exclusive and not reprinting anything in English or in Japanese and having their own thing, it is going to just completely just keep going like it is. And I don't think there's anything that can stop it. I think the second that they start dipping their toes into some of those exclusive arts and maybe leaking it into other languages, if that ever happens, it may never. The second they start doing that, it's going to be almost like a death knell for Chinese, because in my opinion, the only thing that's driving that market right now isn't the huge amount of Chinese people that are buying it. That might be driving the market in some way, but that's not what I'm seeing on my side. What I'm seeing is that secondary market that comes from the resellers who are selling it outside of the country to Americans, basically, who are investing in Chinese as the new thing. So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think anyone does. I'm sorry it doesn't help, because this is a very on the fence thing, but
you're so on the fence. Come on.
Yeah, I know. I got to make a decision. I would say that Chinese, as it is right now, is really fun and really hot, but I would be personally concerned, like, investing in Chinese. That's all.
What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I agree with what Josh said. I think they have to keep things exclusive. I think they're doing really good with that now, and it's definitely picking up a lot of traction. Those gem boxes. I remember Gem 1 came out and it was like $20-$30 a box. And then Gem 2 was like $30-$40 a box. And now Gem 3 is I forget what it is. It's like $60-$70 a box. It's wild. So yeah, they're definitely doing things right, and I do really like the exclusive stuff that they're putting out. I think it looks really good. So I am starting to feel like it's here to stay. But I do think it'll always be English is the most expensive, then Japanese, then Chinese. I don't think the pricing will ever get closer together.
I generally agree, but Ghetto actually said I'm not talking about exclusive cards. I meant apples to apples, the same cards. I think
absolutely.
apples to apples, like, yeah, those Chinese cards are so much cheaper than their English and Japanese counterparts.
Nobody wants
English
the
is
Chinese
king.
version. Nobody
Yeah,
wants it.
like
No.
I have some consigners who send some through and sell some, and it's like, oh man, they're sending me this, and it's Chinese, and maybe someday the gap closes a little bit, but like I see the scans. I see the scans on Fanatics. It's like, oh, that's my reaction. And maybe I'm too negative. Like, it's the same art from a distance, holding it out at across the room. It's the same card, but no, I think they live on exclusives, and I just don't see the gap being closed a lot. But that could change. General sentiment could change, and your Mubrians could be worth $1 million someday, and then the Chinese exclusives, maybe they close the gap because they're the more affordable option at only $100,000.
That being said, I'm going to let you guys finish up the podcast. I'm going to go make my appointment, and thank you so much for having me. Anyone
Very
wants
nice
to
having
me,
you.
I'm still around. I'm still on Instagram, still doing the thing. I just hate making boom content, so as long as we're in the thick of it, you're probably not going to see me going and telling you to buy the newest set at $500 a booster box. That ain't going to be me. So if it is, I was abducted by aliens, and you have to worry about that, and that's a whole nother set of problems.
So if I'm right,
Thanks
and if
for coming
Prismatic's
on.
widely available, like say a year from now, Prismatic's widely available at Costco under MSRP, are we getting Old Card Shop with the Bear Hat content? Are we getting that?
I want to bring the Bear Hat content back, but people give me such a hard time about it that it's going to take a lot. Like, if the market were to crash, I'm actually going to be happy. It's not going to be me being like, oh, it's a bear market, don't buy. I'm going to be like, buy. You're finally waiting. I'm going to say, you assholes have been asking for this for 3 years now. And where are you? I'm like, where are you?
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to be saying. So, it's not going to be me being bearish. It's going to be me being more bullish than you've seen me in a long time. But anyway, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. It was great seeing you guys. Reach out to me on Instagram if you want to support me by buying any of my products. I'm making a new batch of these mystery boxes with new XY chases and new PSA 10s I'm throwing in. I'm getting some in the next few days. So I'll have a new batch set. So appreciate everyone who does purchase.
And I linked everything below. It was very nice seeing you again at Card Party, Josh, and very nice having you for a few hours here on the pod. Go check out the links to Josh's stuff in the description.
And I'll see you guys next time.
See you.
Nick,
do you have any more last questions for him before we leave? Mr. Keeping him an extra 20 minutes.
I know.
You're gonna make him miss his appointment.
We'll probably wrap in the next 10 or 15 minutes. Also, we're almost done with questions. My memory is terrible. My memory is terrible. I did get allocations through one of my distros for Charizard UPCs. I don't remember how many I got years ago of the original Charizard UPC. I don't remember how many I got of the Terapagos, but I'll just tell everyone I'm getting 40 with no context. I'm getting 40 from one distro. Is that a lot? Is that a little? I can't even remember. I tried looking through my email when Josh was on one of his rants. I couldn't find how many Terapagos I got from them. I was looking at my invoices from like November of last year. Maybe it's October, but I couldn't find it. Do you know off the top of your head, like what you got? Or
No, I want to say it was probably somewhere 40, 50 range. I don't even remember when it came out. Do you?
November
I
of
knew when it came out.
2024.
I could look it up.
That's the thing. I'm trying to look at my email, but I'm not finding it.
If you had a good distributor, unlike Matt L.
I'm not even talking about Matt L right now. I'm talking about my other one. Matt L I could probably find easier. I don't know.
You can't even look for stuff with Matt L.
I look at the emails. Oh, I don't look on the website. I look at the emails.
Oh,
Same thing with both my distros.
The website. Southern's got a good website. So I got Surging Sparks. It must be the next one. Terapagos, I got 60.
Do you know how many you're getting from them? Of Charizard?
They haven't sent me numbers yet.
Oh, so that's not useful. We need to compare. I have one side
I'm
of
sure
the
you
comparison.
got 60-ish Terapagos. Because we're similar. We're similar size. So you're getting, I would say you're probably getting less Charizard UPCs.
Honestly, in this boom, I should have a singular spreadsheet where like this is how much SV1, SV2, SV3. I don't have that. I go off emails, and in a perfect world, like you would think the distributor website, I could go and I could look at my account and I could look at my order history. The only things they retain are like the online orders. I say that, and now GTS is the one I'm talking about. I don't know why I'm being so secretive about it. GTS actually has more than I realized on their website now. Maybe they changed it. Maybe I'll be able to find out. I was looking in the wrong place. A lot of them, they just put the codes, though. They put the codes for the items. Some of them, they don't even have the titles. Here's Obsidian Flames. I got a reprint of 48 Obsidian Flames boosters on November 22nd, 2024 for 100 apiece. That was nice.
You're getting there. This was look at like November 20th. That's when I got my email.
November 20th. I'm gonna end up crashing my Chrome. I have so many tabs open. Let me close some of these. I'm gonna be in trouble here. Yeah, Terapagos would have been one that was like certainly just allocated to me. Prismatic Evo. GTS is so weird with how they do like open orders, and then I don't see it. I definitely got them. I definitely got wholesale from Distro, GTS, and Mad Al. I definitely got Terapagos premium collections, and I just can't find them. Anyways, yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea. Generally speaking, like I said with the last starter UPC, I'm going to be a seller, not a buyer at 250, 300, 300. Like, might I open some for the promos, try to do some first to market grading plays? I might. But generally speaking, like I'm doing with most things, I'm gladly selling my allocation into the market. I'm going to set back a little bit because I don't know, it might go up. But generally speaking, I'm happy to sell most of it. I'm going to break some down. I'm going to use the packs for the streams. I'll sell some promos that aren't gradable on the streams. I'll grade some and on and on. The same story it's been for the past 12 months of this insanity boom that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I'm being so secretive right now, Dan. That's your whole personality. That's why you're acting like that. My whole channel is like obscene transparency. I generally try to not say it's Mad Al and GTS though. Whenever I'm talking about Distro, mine are Mad Al and GTS. I feel like I say it sometimes and I don't say it other times.
Do you think people know which distro I like better?
I think people know. I think it's no secret that Nick is a fan of his Peach State.
Peach State.
Or Southern. You have Southern or Peach State?
You always say Peach State.
I don't know why. I don't have Peach State, but I know they exist. Timmy had a couple questions. Dan, can you make a short how your Colin 151 booster packs have performed just as well as the PC EDBs and had theoretically lower downside risk? People don't care. Like, I could go back and I could say this, that, and the other thing. And if I end up being right on all this, like all this going under MSRP, going to MSRP, no one will care. People won't. Oh, Dan made this call in this video, and let's go watch this video from a year ago when Dan. People don't care. The palette video that I made is getting like that gets views today. We talked earlier about how like all the views are on the videos that were made in the past month, but one of my videos that's aging fairly well and getting some like evergreen type views because it has Pokemon investing in the title. That palette video, but at a time, I can't wait to make. I already made the anniversary video, but I'm gonna make like the 2-year anniversary video in several months. The comments in that were hilarious. Like the sentiment at the time, Dan's pawning off $90 Scarlet and Violet era booster boxes on his dad. Dan's scamming his dad. Like all the people were so confident in what they were saying. Oh, like when things are high. And to be fair, the Sword Shield aged well too. I had minimal Sword Shield on it, but I had some people were saying like why Scarlet and Violet should be more Sword Shield. But like they both aged really, really well. But like just nobody cares. Everyone's all, what do I do today? Make me a millionaire today. Make me a billionaire today. Give me the top 5 investments. It's insane. People cared when you got the Destined Rivals call wrong. I've not gotten anything wrong with Destined Rivals. I said it could be $5,000 at its anniversary. It could go up. It could go down. That's what I always say, and that's because that's what I know to be true. Like it could be either. People,
that's why you haven't gotten it wrong, because you sit on the fence and you don't have an opinion.
But the thing is, like,
wrong when you say it's both sides.
But this is the moronic thing, and I need to start feeding PokeFlipz into Opus to occasionally get some clips here. People say that I sit on the fence. I'm running a 7-figure sales business. I have cases of this stuff. I'm buying, selling. I have 4 cases of Destined Rivals at Probstein. I have 4 cases on a pallet. I'm buying them at 85%. I'm selling them at 100%. I'm sitting on a fence. The people saying that
you are sitting on a fence.
I'm literally doing business every day in this stuff. The people that call me a fence sitter have none of this product, are doing nothing with the product. I'm out here doing business every day in this product. I'm sitting on the fence, running a 7-figure business, buying, selling.
That's why people say you're the most bullish bear ever. Because you are doing this business and you're buying a ton of stuff. But when you get on the podcast, you're all doom and gloom. Oh, it could go down. It might go up. Who knows?
But that's actually, like, everything is probabilistic. Like, people, you walk into a casino, that roulette table is hitting green 0. It hits green 0. They're a savant. They should be a billionaire. They know, like, no. I say the boring thing. I say there's a 49% chance of black, 49% chance of red, and 2% chance of green. With roulette, it's easier because like the math is just there. But like even with the math being there, we have people on Pokemon podcasts saying that, oh, I have a system to beat craps. That's how insane this that's how insane this market is. If I say objectively the craps pass line odds are this and roll, like the odds are just what they are, but like people will say that people will just say objectively wrong things. People will say it's guaranteed to go up. Well, it will either, in hindsight, 5 years from now, we will be able to unequivocally say objectively what happened. It either never went below this number or it did go below that number. But as of today, though, the only thing you can say is probabilistic. The only thing you can say is it's like there's I think, and no one's going to know for sure. It's not just basic math like roulette, but I think there's this % chance of this, and I think there's this % chance of this. But meanwhile, the people who have a case of Destined Rivals, Dan's such a fence sitter. I've got 1 case of Destined Rivals, and I know it's going. I've got 4 of them set on a pallet. I've got 4 of them at Probstein. we're selling thousands of packs of Destined Rivals every month on Fanatics. It's like, I'm not sitting on any fence. I'm telling you, like, forecasting what I think might go up and down. But meanwhile, I'm not letting that hold me back. It's like a lot of these morons in live chats are letting things hold. Oh, Rudy said this, Alex said this, Dan said this. I'm like panicking about what they should do. And that's blows my mind. It blows my mind. And I know Brad is mostly poking the bear and intentional pun. It's just actual lunacy. It's actual lunacy. Some of the takes that people will have with no skin in the game, with no knowledge, no experience. But it is what it is. It is. I will stand by your American right to say dumb binary shit. Please. And sometimes my wife has like watched back some of my content, and she's like, Dan, why are you still doing this? Like, you're yelling at the guy, you're calling that guy a moron, you're calling that guy dumb. It's like, I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying when I get like a little, I'm not like having a bad time. I'm having a good time. Little bit of like over repeated, but it's genuinely fun. I don't get enough socialization, but when I think I commented on Alex's video. Sometimes I text him when somebody at the end, that drives me a little crazy. Somebody at the, when people mischaracterize what I'm saying in a more direct way, like at the end of Alex's recent live stream, someone was like, Dan said everything's going under MSRP. No, base set is not going to go to $3.99 a pack. No, EX Team Rocket Returns is you moron. Like,
nobody took you saying that.
Yes, people think. Well, yes, they do.
Way too gullible if you believe that.
See, no base set. I'm getting. For example, I can't even think of the word that I'm looking for. But when I say that Prismatic, Destined, Journey, Mega, Black and White, when I say I think those will be available under MSRP, some people think that I'm saying that it'll be under MSRP in 10 years. A lot of people think that I'm saying every Scarlet Violet set. I've never said that. I think SV1 through SV7, 8, I think they're done. I think they're leaving those in the dust. Like, when people, I know this. I know this as a fact. Like, people think I'm talking about every SV set. There are certain channels out there that get lots of views that say wait on everything, and those are the ones that Alex picks on with the I'm gonna wait. But there are people that think when I say that everything's not been available under MSRP will be available at some point under MSRP. One, they think I mean all at once. It doesn't necessarily have to happen all at once. And two, they think I'm talking about Paldea Evolved. No, I'm not talking about Paldea Evolved. I think there's a 99% chance actually that Paldea Evolved is like never gonna go down. Like, it's going to have its little 10%, 20%, whatever. But no, like, not at all. If someone offered me $100 grand in Paldea Evolved booster cases, I'd buy them all right now at 80%, 85%. I'd probably sell some at 95%. I'd probably I'm always going to flip some amount, but no, that stuff's crazy. That stuff's crazy to me. How, that's why I don't like react content. People will react to what someone said. They'll completely change it up. Like, I say Destined Rivals, I think will be available. Dan's saying Paldea Evolves crashing to $160 booster boxes. Never. No, not at all. But this is the content that's more fun. It's good to get the blood pumping, good to get a little bit fiery. But that's like some people are that effing dumb. I'm gonna stay away from the F word.
But just don't listen, don't pay attention to those people. You're not gonna help those people regardless of how bearish you are. Those people are doomed. It's called Darwinism.
Yeah, it's honestly, this is maybe the coldest take I've ever said, but some people won't like it. The movie Idiocracy. If anyone hasn't watched it, it's a must watch. Humanity is missing dearly Darwinism. Survival of the fittest is something like we as a species, I think every species needs it. We don't have it. We're the top of the food chain. We have overcome Darwinism. And that is not to the benefit of society at large. That is not to the benefit of humanity as a species in the next 1,000 years. Go watch Idiocracy. That is a foretelling of our very near future, honestly. Pull it up in another tab. I think it's on Netflix, actually. I think it might be leaving Netflix soon. Hopefully it didn't leave yet. But yes, go watch Idiocracy. It is made 20 years ago, and it's going to be true in the next 200. If it's not already partially true today, I need to be careful with that. But hilarious movie. I think it's still on Netflix. Let me see if it's leaving Netflix. I think I watched it like a couple weeks ago.
Ooh,
It says that it's not. It says that it's not, but go watch that. Go watch that. It is a classic for sure.
I'll have to watch. I've never even heard of that movie.
It's so good, and it's where we're headed as humanity. Basically, I won't. Literally in the first like 3 minutes,
No
the
spoilers.
intro,
I'm gonna watch it now.
well, watch it and text me how you thought it was. The intro, literally the first 3 minutes of the video, set up the movie for like what has happened to society over the amount of time, and it's so good. Yes, go watch it, Jay. We are that is a foretelling of our future. I think we're fully caught up. No, there's one more that Timmy had. When grading for flipping, do you prefer maximizing expected value from grading in volume or grading higher value cards but fewer volume? What's the sweet spot? I do a little bit of all of it. I at this point though, one thing that I can't say that I outright refuse it. I've done it very, very minimally though. I won't ship to the end consumer. So like I'll do higher end cards, but it's done through Fanatics, or it's done through ZNG, or it's done through PSA Vault, or it's done through Probstein. But I do significantly more of the high volume, low margin stuff, but I absolutely sprinkle in a little bit of low volume, higher margin, higher value stuff.
Yeah, I'm 100% volume, low margin, high volume, or whatever.
Burnt ends isn't a dish; it's poor cooking.
Did you see?
Man.
Dan's the type that chops up hot dogs and throws some barbecue sauce on it and calls it burnt ends.
I make some mean burnt ends. I mean, I can go into my my brisket process, my pork belly process if we want to, but I think we'll save that for another podcast, another day. Robot Dan doesn't understand sometimes when people say everything, they don't mean everything.
Exactly.
It's funny because like so take as a baseline, what % of time when people say everything do they mean everything? It's probably like 10% of the time. If they say literally before everything, literally speaking, that percentage should be higher, right? Because that's literally what literally means. But if someone says literally everything, it's a fraction of the normal amount. So if people mean everything when they say everything, 10% of the time, they literally only mean it 1% of the time when they say literally everything. Like 99% of the usage of the word literally is literally they intend to use the word figuratively, if that makes sense. But I think it does. It's just I don't know if I conveyed it properly. But I'm having a good time calling this guy a moron, Dan. It's actually very interesting. But anyone that thinks you're bearish because you say you don't know if it will go up or down, there's a lot. And statistically speaking, there's the median IQ, and half people by definition are dumber than the median IQ person. So I wonder, IQ is the median and the average. How close are they? They're probably really close, but like I don't know if the mean is below the average or below the median or vice versa. But
this is way too much math talk for me.
Yeah.
I don't remember those. Like the mean. I don't remember all that stuff.
Mean is the average. So like if you have 10 ones, the average is 1. If you have 10 ones is a bad example because like the median, and motor are all 10. Mean is the mathematical average. Add up all the individual, divide by the quantity. Mode is the most common. So if there's 5 ones and there's median is the most common, and then median is like if you have 10 numbers, take 1 away from each side until like get the very middle number. So if you have a room with 5 people, take away the 2 richest and the 2 poorest person. The middle person is the medium person. You might have Bezos and Musk in the room, and then you might have like 3 of us in the room. Well, the mean will be billions because of Musk and Bezos pulling us up. but the median will be the middle person, will be a more normal number. But anyways, 95% of people believe they're above average. I think we're going to call it there. I think Dan has had all his rant therapy that he's needed.
Dan's rant therapy.
It is good. I mean, I work from home. I have no water cooler talk. This is my water cooler talk. So sometimes I've just got to let it vent off, right?
I saw we skipped last week and you went live yourself. Like
I had to.
Madman
every
over
week.
there.
Every week I've got to plug in and dump the thoughts. Otherwise, scary things could happen. You got Walrus coming in every so often. You've got Thrifty coming in. I did just go to Card Party, but like I don't have that outlet. My wife can only handle so much of me dumping all the Pokemon related stuff. So thanks everyone on PokeFlipz on my own channel for engaging every week. But yeah, with that, any final things? Catch Nick at Collecticon this weekend, eBay Live, all the good stuff.
Yeah. No, that's about it. That's about it. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us.
Catch Ponga, catch PK.
Did you tell everyone we'll get back to Thursdays now?
Oh yeah. So we're here live Thursday. This is gonna be our new normal moving ahead. I think with our 2 week, every other week thing, I think we dodged Thanksgiving. I think we're good until the end of the year. I think like New Year's Day is one that we'll have to decide, do we want to do it on New Year's Day or not? But as we said in text, that's a fake holiday. So we probably will do it on New Year's Day. But yeah, thanks guys. It was indeed a podcast. With that, we will catch you all later.
Bye.